Okay, new laptop. Doesn't seem to be recording. We're good. Hey, Justin. Thanks for coming in. Really.
Hi, Julian.
Really appreciate it.
How are you? I come in all the time.
You do.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Now, just before we get started, you're not recording, right?
Oh no.
Okay.
Why would I do that? That sounds like something an insane person would do.
No, that's good because I think we finally got it. We need to stop the people from hearing these behind the scenes things because it's just really unprofessional. And I think we finally got it sorted so we can actually just talk about business before we get into the show.
Okay.
Because I'm very excited. You know, we've been having staffing issues, obviously, because,
right.
I can't afford you. And now, you're suing me. And, on top of that, the insubordination and the constant laziness and the Skyrim mods are just, right. I finally found a solution, for this staffing crisis. Automation, Justin. It's the future.
Well, I was going to say that might be in my lawyer's contract that he sent you. I know he rewrote a new one, and I know he sent it to you. Did you get that? Because it may be in the contract. You may need to read that over just a little bit because it may prevent a lot of these types of things. Yeah.
I don't read things that are handed to me, but I'll, if someone reads it to me, then maybe it'll stick.
All right.
But no, you remember the Angelo bot, right, Justin?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I was a fan of that. He seemed nice. He seemed like a good robot.
Yeah. So I decided to bring the Angelo bot out of the mothballs.
Okay.
And that is how we're going to proceed with this show.
That sounds good.
Yeah, just gonna fire that up. The Angelo.
Hey. How's it going?
It's a little bit of a lead time. It's a little bit of a slow burn. But,
I
but
always expected more of a process. I expected more of some sound effects and some smoke happening. But that's fine.
Yeah, I mean that was I was able to store him better last time, so it didn't take as much work.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you forgot that you programmed a delay before I say hi.
Yeah,
I did forget
that was a thing.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, those were the days. Yeah, you need to fix that. I don't know if are you sure we're not recording, right? You're sure about it? 100%.
Yeah, I know we're good.
Okay.
Wait. God damn.
Come in and put your weary feet up. Come in and gently close the door. Our time will leave you intrigued and wanting more. Remove your clothes. Listen to those headphones. Take off your pants. Relax.
It's a new laptop. I just a lot of bells and whistles. Anyway, hello everyone and welcome to Nerds Without Pants, episode 176. We cover everything while bearing it all. I am Julian. I'm joined as always by Justin.
Hi. Welcome to our hours-long podcast about the band Candlebox. I hope you're all prepared for that. Julian, Angelo, I know you guys are the world's biggest Candlebox fans. What are your thoughts about the band Candlebox, a band that I don't remember any of their songs?
I didn't remember a band Candlebox existed until you said the band Candlebox. If I'm going to be totally honest
all right,
with you.
that's a good start.
I don't think I've ever heard of the band Candlebox.
Let me allow me to tell you that they existed and they made music in, I believe, the 90s. Don't quote me on it because I don't remember them that well, but they had songs. Anyway, how are you guys?
That's a loaded question. We're also joined by Angelo, former co-host, and man, it's been I don't even remember. Was it the when you did the music special? We talked about Smash Brothers. Is that the last time that we've
right before we started, and I looked at the Skype thing. It said the last call we had was November of last year.
That would have been that one then.
So that would have been that one.
Yeah.
No, that was a different one. The music special was, or maybe it was. I don't remember. I remember being on a call though when I was on the show with Angelo. So yeah.
Okay, I didn't remember if you guys had been on a show together yet.
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, since
we were on. So I think the last
Since
one
you
was
became
with
a
like
host.
him and John Golson, right?
Yeah, I think it was a
that
four-way
rings
call.
a bell.
That was the one.
Okay.
Yep.
All
was a
right.
while
Yeah,
back,
I'm remembering
The
that
big
now.
party call.
Yes. No, but Angelo, like, yeah, it sucks because like I've been wanting, this is even when this has been going on for a while. Like since you left, like I've been wanting to like try to for you and I to just like get together every month or two to just like kind of chat, and it's just unfortunately hasn't happened. And now you have this massive quarantine beard. It's quite impressive.
It is.
Well, I'm in New York, so there's really nothing else for me to do right now.
Yeah.
They shut the whole state down, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not even near New York City, and I can't leave. I'm not supposed to be like going anywhere, but it's a thing.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, this is going to be, just an all consumption junction episode. We will attempt to do a nice and tight, under 2-hour episode, and we will fail miserably. So I just wanted everybody to buckle up and settle in.
Well, there's a lot of Candlebox to talk about, Julian. That's all we're saying.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But before we get into all of just talking about whatever we want to talk about, it is my turn to do the stage select for next episode. And, this one I've been sitting on for a while. It was going to be my first one of the year, but just things happened. And I'm really excited about this one. So Justin and listeners, I really liked Judgment last year. And I thought it was a real damn good spin-off to a long-running series. And that got me thinking, and I thought it'd be a good time to get creative. So, and Justin, this is going to be a little different. Like, the listeners, I'm going to ask for something different from them. But for us,
okay.
I want to know what game series you would like to see spin-offs for, and then what you envision as those spin-offs. Now, I'm not going to put a number on how many you want to do, but at least one of them, I want you to really go deep on like what this game would be. Okay?
Okay. So what you want is a wrestling rhythm game. Got it.
No, we did that. Oh, actually, I meant to text you. Like, I don't know if you heard Jeff Gerstmann talk about recently on the Bombcast, he literally said, if you were going to make a wrestling game like the actual business, you would make it a rhythm-based game where you're playing cooperatively. And
I did hear something I did hear that.
Yeah, he and I have been on the same page with this. Yes,
What's funny is, Julian, I don't know if you remember this, but when we did something a while ago, I remember if it was on the show or whatever, I said, wouldn't it be cool if there was a brawler, but you had music, like the music at the level was actually like a thing on the bottom of the screen, and if you timed your hits with the music, you did like bonus damage or something like that?
I do remember something like that.
Mm-hmm. I think we were just spitballing something like that.
I think there actually is a game that came out like that for like the Vita or something.
Really?
Yeah. I'd have to look it up. But
there's the only brawler beat 'em up that I can think of that has like a rhythm based element is with a passive fist. But
that might be the one that I'm thinking of.
I don't think it goes with the music though, but I know it's like a rhythm based thing.
Oh no, this one was definitely like I think they even had like kind of this like club look to the game. Like it was very much based around like the beat and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's got to be something else. But anyway, yes. So that's what I want you and I to do. But then for the listeners, I just want one from you, but I want you to go deep on this. I want you guys to really put your creative caps on, and I want like just some really inventive spin-offs to long-running franchises. And let's see what we come up with. And then for the cage match, this one just, I don't know. This is only going to entertain me. I don't think anybody else is going to derive any enjoyment from this, but I don't care. We've got a huge one coming after this one.
Okay.
But this one I'm just going to sneak in here. This one comes to us from Transmet 2033. So next episode, stepping into the steel cage, we have Journey to Silius for the Nintendo Entertainment System versus Crystallis for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Those are both quirky Sunsoft made
exactly
games.
One of those games.
Yes. One of those is more popular than the other.
Yes.
But yes. So those are going to be the ones squaring off, and we will want those comments and submissions by 8:30 Central Time on May 29th. And that should be a lot of fun.
Crystallis, wait, hold on. Crystallis was like a Zelda-ish game, wasn't it?
Yes, it's like Zelda, but with some deeper RPG mechanics. Like you actually level up, and there's like experience points and stuff. And
did that get a GBA port?
Yes.
Okay.
I know what game we're talking about.
That's the one I
It's
remember.
very purple.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. It's very purple and green. Like the main character's purple. Like a lot of the environments are very green. It's an overhead like action RPG.
I remember it being enjoyable, but kind of forgettable.
Yeah. And so is Journey to Silius. It's enjoyable and kind of forgettable. Yep. Actually, more forgettable than Crystallis, but
banging music though.
Yes. All right. And so that's gonna do it for like preambly stuff. So we'll just jump on into Consumption Junction, which I don't know why I'm saying it that way because I'm not gonna do like any like stinger or anything. It's just we're just gonna talk. Angelo, it's been a dog's age since you've been on.
Oh man!
So I'm gonna let you start things off, and it's all informal. We're not gonna spoiler alert, dude. Even though we haven't even done Consumption Junction in an episode, like I don't really got shit. Like I've got a little bit of stuff. I think I've got stuff that you've played, Angelo, that I can piggyback off of. But like I've basically sampled a lot of games and haven't enjoyed any of them, and I feel like the crew of the Black Pearl from the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, where it's like everything is just like ash in my mouth when I eat it. Like it's just like no enjoyment whatsoever. I'm just like, next.
I think.
Don't worry.
It's the time that we're in.
Yeah,
we can get right into that because I can just start talking about Doom Eternal right now because I know you were not a fan.
Well, no. So that's no. I liked what I played of Doom, but I have played a level and a half of Doom the day that it came, or the day after it came out, and haven't touched it since. And I've been meaning to go back to it, but I don't think that I have the mental bandwidth for it right now. And the other thing is that when I do play it again, I'm just going to go ahead and drop it to easy because I think with it being very geared around like mouse and keyboard, which is not a skill that I have, I just need to go ahead and give myself a bit of a handicap in order to enjoy it.
But you actually nailed something that it took me forever to wrap my head around playing that game because I'll just get right into it, right? When I started the game up, I was like, man, I just got through playing Doom 2016 and I can wreck that game. Mm-hmm. Like I was streaming it at one point on Ultraviolence and literally laughing at the encounters because I was like, oh my gosh, I thought this was going to be so hard. I came out and I just blasted the summoner and now there's nothing left to do and all these power-ups are here and I never had to use them. Right. Like I was having fun just owning that game, right?
Well,
and Eternal.
Before you keep going, how are you playing it though? Like, were you just like mainlining shotgun? Because apparently, like the way that most people and I didn't realize this, but according to the developers, like the big strategy on Doom 2016 is just shotgun, like you would in the old gun or in the old games. But like, I did spend a lot of time like switching weapons depending on the enemies that I was fighting in the last game.
The thing in Doom 2016 is there's a bunch of weapons and they are somewhat situational. Like if I saw a summoner, I was going for the rocket launcher for the lock-on, right? Because that thing needs to go away fast. And I need to hit it from wherever I'm at and keep putting damage on it so it stops bringing in ads. But the thing is with everything else, if I have a super shotgun, you're going to disappear. Like quickly. We are going to David Copperfield you. You're gone. It's, you just have to get close, right? Relatively close to something, and it's gone. Some enemies you have to keep your distance from, and then there's other solutions for that. But anything you can get close to, the solution is the super shotgun. That's Doom 2016. We could pivot right into Eternal, though, because Eternal, I went into it expecting more Doom 2016, and I had watched reviews, and I had gotten hyped, and I had known about all the stuff, but I'm just like, I got this, right? I did not got this in the slightest. When I loaded that game up, like the first thing gave me a chainsaw, and I'm like, this is new. And then they teach you very quickly that you have no ammo, and the only way you're going to get more ammo is by using the chainsaw. And if you have no ammo, it even just brings the chainsaw up and says, look, idiot, do this. And then, you get through up just a little bit of the first level. You get through that first section of the level, you go down and you run into your first Arachnotron. Mm-hmm. and it feels like a mini boss. I died so many times on that first Rakatron, and I'm like, this game is destroying me. What is going on? Now, I bumped it up to ultra violence at first to kind of because I've played every single Doom on ultra violence. I can't stop now. Like now it's a thing, and it was just absolutely wrecking me. And I got through it. I'm like, oh, that's a mini boss. We're fine. And then I get a little further in the game, and they throw another one at me. I'm like, all right, but it was a little easier that time, right? And then finally they throw another one at me, and I'm like, it just went down. I'm like, okay, I figured this thing out. Now there's two. All right, I see how this is going to go.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I am learning and I am adapting, and it's slow and it's painful, but I'm getting there. And then they start introducing new things. And every new thing they introduce, it is an equal struggle. You're going to die like several times while you wrap your head around this. And you're balancing more resources in this game than I think I've ever balanced in a first-person shooter before.
Yeah.
Now, I can do it. I came very close to finishing this game, and I haven't finished it yet, and I will explain why toward the end. But like, you have to balance your ammo to a serious degree, not like you do in other first-person shooters, because it depletes fast. And even when you get the perks that give you more ammo, it gives you like 4 more. It's like, what? This is not a bonus. This is like another second. You give me 1 more shot with this thing. How? No. So you have to manage your ammo. You have to have the right weapon for the situation, because the weapons are way more situational now than they were in Doom 2016. The super shotgun is still tremendous, but it is not a one-size-fits-all solution, even with the grappling gun attachment.
I do love that awesome. in Doom Eternal, like, your default weapon is the shotgun. They're like, nah, we're not even going to fuck with the pistol. Like, you just start with a shotgun.
Yeah.
I forgot that. That's right. There's no pistol. You start with the shotgun. They're like, why even bother?
Yeah.
Like, that thing's a joke, and everybody knows it. Yeah, the shotgun, even with the grappling hook attachment, which is an absolute blast to use, still is not the solution for everything. There's more enemy types than there ever was in any Doom game before. And you have to kind of like, and the weak spots are different. Literally, Doom 2016, the loading screen said if an enemy has a head, that's its weak spot.
Mm-hmm.
Doom Eternal, when you load it up, every single thing has its own sort of way of handling it. And the game is nice enough to tell you, because if I had to figure all that out, I think I would have actually gone insane.
Right.
Yeah.
But it actually told you, like, hey, when you see one of these, you can destroy its shield with plasma charges. When you see one of these, you can, take off its turret with a well-placed shot, and the turret will not bother you anymore, and then you're forcing it to come in close. Right.
And I think that was what I wasn't prepared for, was the level of precision that it requires. And so I'll tell you exactly the part that I got to. And it's not that I was like, oh, I'm just going to put this down forever. It was just like, oh, I think I'm done for now. And then I'll go back to it. And I just never went back to it. It's a part where, like, you're on an elevated platform. Well, not a platform, but you're up high. And then down below, there's like 2 revenants and an arachnotron. Right, so that's 3 enemies that have, like, weak points that you need to take down, or you're gonna die real fast. And so I have my battle rifle, or I forget what it is, but, like the machine gun, and I'm trying to basically, like, snipe them, but, like, I just can't make the shots, before I die. And I was like, I bet if I had a mouse and keyboard, I knew how to use a mouse and keyboard really well, this wouldn't even be a thought, right? Like, cause I know what I need to do. I just don't have the ability to do it. And there's also a perk that I didn't pick up when I got my first perk, that I realized that I watched like a how-to video or like a tips and tricks video, and I was like, oh, there's this one perk where, like, when you aim in midair, it slows down time. And it's like, I should have taken that perk.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm just going to start over, put it on the easier difficulty, take that perk, and I think that will help me, at least like with the earliest parts of the game, and then, I'll be able to get deeper into it and then eventually, get up to speed to where I was on 2016, cause yeah, like, I mean, and I died a ton on normal on 2016. Like, that game was actually very hard for me. But at the same time, like, I made it, and I know that here they were like, yeah, the normal difficulty on 2016 is equivalent to, I forget, like, I think it was the hard, I forget, I don't think it was ultra violence, but it was the one, like, right below that in the 2016 version. Like, it basically bumped everything up a level.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. And I mean, I could go into detail talking about all the stuff that you have to manage in this game, but I only mentioned a few things, right?
Yeah.
You also have to also have to manage what weapon mod you're using, what grenade type you're using, what is your armor level, what is your health level. You have to be able to monitor all of those things and evaluate the situation and solve the situation at the same time at a much faster speed than Doom 2016 because you also have all these dash abilities, and if you don't use them, you are cooked.
Yeah.
So, all that to say, I can do it, right? And this is sort of why I haven't finished the game yet. It's exhausting.
Well, I felt 2016 was exhausting because the levels were so long and they were so intense. Like I remembered I would finish a level in Doom 16. I'd be like, okay, unclench. Like, settle down.
And I mean, it's this weird thing in those games. The levels are even longer now too, I think.
Yes,
than they were in 2016. Yeah. They're much longer. Where you get this, every single encounter you have when you are firing on all cylinders and you are managing that encounter and you are like owning the battlefield, you feel like such a badass. Like the endorphin rush you get from acing encounters in that game is like nothing else, right? Mm-hmm. At the same time, when I turn that game off, I want to go to bed.
I've heard people say it's like the Devil May Cry of like, or the character action of like a first-person shooter type game. That's what I hear it compared to.
I played. I haven't played any of the Devil May Cry games, which is a crying shame. Ha ha ha. But I have played Bayonetta, and I loved Ninja Gaiden, like the first version of that, and I never felt like that after I was done with those.
Interesting.
Like it did not drain me the way this game does, and there's just so much going on. And my wife is like, she'll sit across the table and watch me on the laptop. She goes, I've never seen you this intense with a game. I'm right on top of the monitor, right? And I'm like clicking away, and I'm just like this furious mess of fingers moving and head moving around and eyes. And she's just like, you look like a madman.
How is like the platforming in that game, like in the new one? Is it important? Is it like a real big thing? That's always like a thing I've wondered about because like I always kind of see it, but not my favorite part of a first person shooter is the platforming. So
I didn't like it at first. I actually was like, why did you put platforming in a first person shooter? Just give me more things to shoot. But as the game went on and I got comfortable with the platforming, I liked it more. And I still don't know if I'm madly in love with it, but it's really not that bad. And they never make you do any crazy platforming during an encounter. I haven't beaten the game yet. I have I think one level left and then the boss. Also, I need to say this too, if you guys haven't gotten there yet. There's when you go to hell, because it's Doom, you're going to go to hell at some point. When you go there, the first thing you see is the most metal set piece I've ever seen in a video game in my life. It is like, I just sat there and stared and went, that is badass. That is amazing.
That's how I felt when
it's just a piece of scenery.
First level when you're on Earth, because there's those like ginormous like demon like titans like walking around in the background. It's like, holy crap! Like they really went all out.
Yeah,
it's not that level of epic, but it's just one of those things you look like that's an album cover.
Yeah,
and it's a thing that's in the world. It's nothing you interact with or anything. You just see it there, and you're like, that's freaking man. That kind of thing. We're playing Doom.
Yep.
So I really, really like the game. I am just, I just haven't had a chance to get back to it. And right now, the way I feel more or less is just, it's hard for me to get into something that I know I'm going to come away kind of mentally exhausted from.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
That's been the real reason that I haven't gone back to it. Like it's like I said, when I think the first time that I talked about it, like if it had come out like just like 2 weeks before, I would have mainlined it. Mm-hmm. But like right now, it's just like, man, I need simple and clean. Like I just, sorry, that's a Kingdom Hearts song. I need simple and easy. Like, sorry, Justin.
There you go. But it's been great. It's just not it. I would be done with it now, like you said, if it came out at the right time.
Yeah,
it is my kind of game. It's an arcadey first person shooter, and they're not even joking about it. Like, bright, shiny things popping off in places when you go with the ammo. Like, you cut something in half and just a rainbow of ammo spurts out of it. They're like, you're playing a video game.
Yeah.
Just embrace the video game-ness, and I'm there for that. It's just too exhausting right now.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
But it's a great game.
Right.
Like the amount of just balance that they have in that is it's just perfect. Like I don't know how they balanced it to the razor's edge that they did, but they sure did.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable. It must have taken so much work to do that.
Oh, I can only imagine, like, just from kind of hearing the devs talk before the game came out and everything, like, you know, and like the way they were talking about the way that they wanted people to engage with the game, because again, like I didn't realize this, but apparently people didn't play the game that they intended them to on 2016. Apparently I did, and then like the majority of people didn't. Like I was definitely like, okay, I'm fighting a cacodemon now. Let me switch to this weapon. You know, I remember specific, like it's been a while, but like I think like pinkies, I would like get a different weapon. I would actually jump over them and then shoot them in the back. Like there were like all these strategies that I had, and so when like enemies would pop up, it's like, okay, let me grab this weapon, and I know I can take out these two with that, and then switch over to this. And you know, I was already doing that, so I felt that I was like already like ahead of the curve for Doom Eternal. I was not ahead of the curve.
It's that game came at you hard.
Yeah. But you know, I love the way it looks, and like I'm actually totally here for the lore, and like, and again, I've only played the first level and a half, but like already the implications of like this deeper backstory for the Doom Marine, which is like, oh, so there's aliens? Like, is that what I'm getting here? Like alien Vikings? Like Doom Marine is an alien Viking? Like, I mean, I don't know, but that's just the impression that I get.
Keep playing, but
yeah, and it's like, okay, like that's not what I was expecting. I was actually, I have two theories. One is that the Doom Marine is BJ Blazkowicz. But I hope that's not true, because what I want eventually, like after the next Wolfenstein game comes out, I need there to be another game where it's more of a story-based game, and you play BJ Blazkowicz in hell teaming up with the Doom Marine, and it's like this awesome buddy cop thing where you have like one guy who actually talks and emotes, and then you just have the Doom Marine just like fucking shit up. Like I would just love to see them back to back in hell, like killing demons and demon Nazis.
Isn't the connection between those two characters, isn't there an actual connection between them? Like back in the day?
I'm not sure. I think back in the day there may have been. I don't know with this new BJ Blazkowicz. New in snare quotes.
The new lores, right. Yeah. I'm not saying those ones, but yeah, I keep thinking like back in the olden times, back in the 90s, I keep thinking like BJ Blazkowicz was like Doom Marine's like great grandfather or great distant relative of some sort. I don't remember exactly. I keep thinking that's a thing though.
There's also a secret level in Doom 2 where you literally go into a Wolfenstein level in the Doom 2 engine and you blow away Nazis for a while.
Yeah, nice. and Wolfenstein: The New Colossus goes so batshit insane that I'm like, yeah, let's totally do a crossover. Let's make this happen, because like these games have gotten so insane that I just need them to double down on it and join forces.
Yeah. There was a couple of times, since we're on the narrative part, where like Doom 2016 embraces the cheese. It really does.
Right.
In a couple of spots, I thought it embraced it a little too hard. Like I was never worried that they didn't know what they were doing when they did the things that they were doing and how they came across, but it was just like that one step further was just a little too far with the cheese, but it wasn't bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like, how do I want to say I like the Doom Marine as a character when he really isn't one? He's just anger.
Right.
In a helmet.
They do more with him than you would think is possible, like with him not talking. Like, and, you know, I am Mr. Anti-silent protagonist, you know, till the cows come home. But they do enough with like, and it's weird to say that he emotes because like you're in a first person, but they do enough with like just his demeanor and stuff like that where you totally get who he is, and it actually works. And that's what I was saying, like, yeah, if you put BJ Blazkowicz in there and he's the one doing the talking, and then you have Doom Marine just like talking with his gun, like I think that would actually be really cool. Like that, you know, go totally buddy cop with it. Like, there's a part where, like, you have to interrogate a demon Nazi, and BJ is gonna, like, talk to or torture this Nazi, and then Doom Marine just, like, you know, puts a shotgun in his stomach. And then BJ's just like, really? We needed that guy.
That could work.
But yeah, I like Doom Eternal.
That's cool.
I have not played the multiplayer either, and I have no intention of doing so. I'm not interested in it. I don't really do multiplayer first-person shooters anymore.
Yeah.
More of a me problem than a game problem. I get a little too invested, and kind of get a little angry. So
That's
I just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't. I've never been a multiplayer guy. Never been a fan of it. It's funny because wasn't that their big like selling point of the original Doom, like, or Doom 2016 or whatever, was the multiplayer is going to be the greatest thing ever, and then also we have this single player campaign, and then it turned out to be the complete opposite or whatever. Yeah,
they led with the wrong thing in the lead up to that game coming out.
Yeah.
And I'm also still salty about it because that's what cost Doom the Giant Bomb Game of the Year that year.
Really?
To hit, because they were like, oh well, the multiplayer isn't that great, and it's like, just ignore the multiplayer. Like, who came to that for the multiplayer? And
right.
So I went to Hitman, and I was like, man, I love Hitman, but Doom is a much better game. But yeah.
Do you want me to keep going, or do we want to give somebody else a chance to talk about a game?
I was gonna, I guess I can pepper some stuff in.
Sure, you can do it however.
Like, I will say, as like I said, one of the few positives that I have, I think I like Red Dead Redemption 2.
I seen you were playing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, so it's on Game Pass. I mean, I actually own the game. Like, I got it like on Black Friday last year, but like it's on Game Pass now, and I was like, okay, because I bought a physical copy, and I was like, well, it's just on Game Pass, I'll just install it. And I was just like, one night I fired it up, and I was expecting it to control like dog shit, like Rockstar games do.
Yeah.
And that's also what I had heard from like a lot of people is like, oh, like, the character just doesn't do the things that you want him to do, blah, blah, blah. And like, when I got into the first shootout, I was like, that felt surprisingly good. Like, I'm not expecting these games to feel, because like, I remembered like when I played GTA 5, I was like, oh, you guys still couldn't get the shooting to work right, huh? Like, all this money, and it still feels like shit when you hold a gun. Like, I don't know how that happens, but I guess that happened. But yeah, it felt really good, and I mean, it's a gorgeous game. But like, I was really digging it, and I was surprised at how much I was digging it. But then there's just enough bullshit where it's like, okay, guys, like, there's certain things that I think are neat for immersion's sake in video games, and then other things where it's like, you don't have to immerse me this much, right? Like, I mean, this is going to date the show a little bit, but they just showed like a 20-minute Ghost of Tsushima demonstration, like the day before we recorded this.
Right.
And it's like, I was so excited when like they showed him on horseback, and he actually harvested some bamboo while on horseback. He just had to hit a button and do it. And I was like, yes! Thank you. Instead of in like Red Dead Redemption 2, where it's like, let me open this cabinet very slowly, and then let me individually pick up these things. Like, I can't just like hit a button and pick it all up. No, I've got to pick up this can of beans, and then this can of beans, and then this bottle of whiskey from this same table, separate button presses, and it's a very slow, methodical animation every time he picks these up, and it's like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah. I had a feeling you would get bogged down by some stuff like that. It's weird. I felt like I didn't mind the shooting at first, and then it slowly, I think I got into a gunfight later on, and I was like, God, I hate this. And I don't remember which one it was exactly. I think, how far along did you get, if you can do it?
Okay, so I'm not very far. So like, you start out in the mountains in the snow, and then you get to a camp after that. So I'm at that camp, and there's a little town nearby, and so I've done a couple missions around here, and I do like there's a lot of stuff in this game that I really love. Like, I actually, I like to role play in games even when they aren't role playing games, right? So it's like I'm definitely getting into the whole like, oh, well, I've got to make sure that like I'm bringing money and supplies for the camp, although I couldn't figure out how to do it. Like, I bought a whole bunch of supplies in town and then came back and couldn't figure out how to give it to the camp. And apparently it's just on my horse. And I guess that's just for me. I didn't buy those sides of beef for me. I bought that for the camp.
I think you have to, oh man, it's been a little while. I think you have to like grab the stuff off the horse and you got to take it to the man. There's a man there. He gives it to the camp. I don't remember. There's also a box. You put things in a box.
I was trying to put things in the box, but like I was like, I don't know how to get these things from the horse to the box. And I wish that was just like a,
I can't remember.
Just a menu where you just do it. And that's the other thing. So like, and this was a problem that I had with Final Fantasy VII Remake that I talked about in the spoiler cast. I don't like when my characters walk with the speed of molasses. I would prefer that I can run around, because I do, like I said, again, I roleplay, so there are times when my character's just got to strut, right? Like there's times when it's like, no, I'm walking with a purpose right now because this is what my character would do. But by and large, I just kind of want to run around to get to the stuff, to do the thing. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is not about that life.
No, it's definitely not. See, I loved a lot of the immersive stuff. But at the same time, at certain points, you're just like, I just want to do the thing. Like, just let me do it a lot faster. It'd be like cool if you could do it one time and then skip it. But like, it doesn't let you. And also that game has a huge problem with like tutorials at all. Like now this could be different now. I don't know. But like when I first played it, this was on release. Like, they would flash like a small square in like the corner of your screen, like, this is how you do this thing, and then I would like barely be able to read it and it was gone, and then I'd have to go track it down in another menu. That was such a pain in the ass, and so I'd be like, well, I guess I just don't know how to do that because I don't feel like going and tracking that down now. Like, it was real bad at teaching you how to play it. And it's not to say that you can't learn how to play it. You definitely can, because you can, if you sit there and mess with it long enough, you'll figure it out. It's not that hard. I just got like, I got a little bit further than where you're at, and I just got really frustrated with just like dumb things that would happen. Just like some of like the RNG type stuff. And yeah, it's a GTA game, but like, okay, here's the thing. I personally, this is a real weird thing that's probably only pertains to me, but okay, I know I really realize it's a GTA game, but like, because it's so immersive, I want there to be more consequences when I die, because it just feels like, you lost some money and you woke up at a farm. It's like, no, like, I want to like wake up in the hospital and like it's been weeks and I have like a beard now or something. Like,
that's a bit much. That's like some Death Stranding shit right there.
Listen, if you're gonna go in on this immersion shit, dude, immerse me. Like, go that far. Like, make them have consequences. Like, I just didn't feel like there were any consequences for that stuff, and like I got a little bored and frustrated with it. And then like, I think like the exact moment I quit playing was like, I think I walked out of a place and I walked into a dude with a horse, and then the entire town had to try to kill me at that point, because that's just, I basically just murdered a baby. I walked into a man with his horse. And so I remember I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to run away from the town, whatever. They'll get over it. And I think I got somewhere else, and there was like an ambush on the road, and I got shot by that. I was like, I hate this. I hate everything about this. And I just got mad, and I quit playing it.
The last big like story mission I did was like, it was like kind of introducing the stealth mechanic. And I will say that like I was kind of put out because like I thought that I was like way far away from getting spotted, and then it's just like, oh no, I guess we're not stealth anymore. So then it turned into a shootout, which is fine, whatever. I beat that, and then got the stuff, and I was gonna head back to camp, and I got on my horse, and I guess I hit the wrong button and I fired my gun. And then all of a sudden, like there was like a wanted level, and I was like, there's nobody here, and also we just killed like 20 people, and there wasn't anybody that came then, so why is this like one random bullet like sound like alerting everybody, and like nobody came and got me. I was able to evade it, but it's like, why did that even go off? Like it's and I don't know, that was the first time that happened, but I'm wondering how they actually like have the information dispersed, because in the Wild West, like it should be a thing where unless you do like a dirty deed like right in front of people, it should be kind of difficult for people to know that you did dirty deeds, right? Like that's what I love about the most recent Hitman games, is the way that like you can get spotted, but like if you can take that guy down before like that information gets out into the wider population, you can contain that shit. It's almost like if you stop a situation that's getting out of hand right away, you have a better chance of coming out of it, you know, unscathed. If you get what I'm saying. Yeah. Just instead of just being inept and just letting it go off and contaminate everybody else and alert them. You can just contain that, and then you're fine.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a
labored metaphor.
Right. I now I get it. It took you a minute, but you got there. But yeah, like I don't know, man. The immersion stuff is really cool, but like, yeah, I got irritated. I do intend to go back. Like I really do want to go back to that game, but at certain points I was just like, I don't know. Like
I think that I could actually really love that game, but again, it's not now. Like I don't know. Right now, it's like I don't know what I need, but it's not that. And I've been trying like I started Final Fantasy X-2, Final Fantasy IX, and Final Fantasy I on PSP in the last week. Yeah. And then I've just been like sampling stuff, and well, we might get into it. I played Streets of Rage 4 for a little bit. And then I bought.
We could get into that anytime, because I did too. I played that as well.
Yeah, and then I bought River City Girls, and I was like, "This is what I wanted."
Yeah. Yeah. River City Girls, quite a good game.
Yes.
Well,
they're completely different kinds of games, though.
Yeah.
One is
an evolution, and one is very much like, we did it again. We did that thing again.
I could argue on that. It makes steps, but it doesn't make big ones. It plays it safe. I will not argue that it plays it safe.
The steps that it makes does make some good changes. Steps. Like I love the combo system. Like I love the juggling. Yep. I love the risk and reward of the special moves, the ones that take your health. Like I think that's a really cool addition to it. It definitely makes me use them, because I never used those in Streets of Rage 2. I was just like, I'm not going to use those. They take my health away. Except for like Axel's, like his little like combo uppercut thing. Like that's just cool. So it's like you use that like when it's the last thing on a boss, just to like do it in slow motion. Like that's when you use that. But like Angelo, I know you love it. I don't know how Justin feels. I just want to say, so like I love the old Streets of Rage games, and I love beat 'em ups. Like that was one of my favorite genres back in the day, and it's the one that I've wanted to come back the most. But I will also admit that like the beat 'em up genre, just by concept, is very shallow, and you need to do things to like make it more interesting. And so when I play Streets of Rage 2, like even now and even back then I was like, this game needs a block button, another attack button, and it needs to be faster. And that's what I wanted from a new Streets of Rage game. I wanted to be able to run. I wanted the characters overall to just be faster in general. I wanted a block button or an evade button, and then a second attack button just to make like the combos more interesting. And then they didn't do any of that.
There are characters that can run, but that's not what you're going for, and I completely understand that.
And she's the only character that I like to use, a Cherry. Because she can run, and she's the one that I like to use. That game just feels ponderously slow to me.
You can unlock characters from previous Streets of Rage games, including, it's not really a big spoiler. You can unlock
all
Skate.
The old characters, yeah.
Right,
Except
Skate can run.
Not all of them. They didn't put the kangaroo in there, fuckers.
Oh, they put him in there. You just can't play him.
Yeah. I'm mad about that.
Yeah.
Also, they
little...
really should have had Skate be in the main roster because I would have loved to see grown up Skate. I thought that would have been really cool.
That would have been entertaining. Yeah, that would have been neat.
Or at least have him have a cameo as part of the story, right? Just see what grown up Skate looks like.
Oh,
because all the characters aged.
Also, you cannot introduce the coolest ass character in the game as a boss and not let me play as her.
No, dude, she's awesome.
That's what I'm saying. The lady cop, I was like, let me be her. She is the coolest character in this game.
Man, I'm a little disappointed that you don't get to play as her because I got the impression through like what the story was telling me that you would eventually unlock her like through playing.
I wonder if she's DLC. Like
she's probably DLC
because she's on the title screen. So it's like, come on. Yeah, like that is really the coolest design.
Yeah,
she's great too.
I only played through it like once. I played through it like with Blaze because that was kind of my go-to. And yeah, I'm kind of like in the middle on that game. Like I'm like, yeah, this is fine, but like
that's how I feel.
Yeah, like it's not offensively bad.
No, not at all.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's
a good game.
I have thought long and hard about what I want from Streets of Rage 4. And this only delivers like very partially on it. Yeah. I would have liked more special moves also. And so that's what I was saying. And I don't want to jump right off of this, but like when I popped in River City Girls and I was like, okay, block button. I'm learning new moves. Like I can run, like, and it's actually got like some really good dialogue. Like I skipped all of the story stuff in Streets of Rage 4. I don't give a shit. Like I have never played those games for the story. And the fact that they thought that that's what we wanted, I'm like, ooh, no.
No, the first thing they do is say, hold this button to skip, because they know. They know. But they have to put it in there. You have to have something.
I like to make fun of the story of Streets of Rage. They have some of my favorite like opening title screens because they're hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like and they do kind of lean into that like old 90s cheese a little bit, which I like.
Not as well as Double Dragon Neon, which I think does that way better.
Yeah. Double Dragon Neon is you can't do that. That's not fair.
Exactly. I like the art style a lot. I thought it was pretty good.
I don't like the designs for Axel and Blaze because in Axel's case, I just think it's kind like, well, one, it's like, so Blaze didn't age at all in 10 years or whatever. Like she just looks exactly like she did in the last games. And then Axel does look different, but not, I don't know. I just don't care for it.
She was designed by Japanese people, so you have to assume. Okay, listen, you have to assume, Julian, that she was. Don't tell me her real age if you're an expert out there. I don't want to hear it. She was probably 18 at the time of the old Streets of Rage game. She became a cop at 14, probably. And now
and she'll look the same until she becomes an Obasan. Exactly. All of a sudden at 70.
10 years later, she's probably, 28, so she looks about right. That's right to me. I don't know, call me crazy.
she's definitely thicker than the other incarnations of her, and I would say that's
thicker in that game. Like that's just kind of
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I think this is going to sound mean almost, but I think it shows more on her. If that makes any sense.
Oh, really? No, I thought, like, when to me, I was like, oh, okay, Axel actually looks different and Blaze looks the same. Like, just same clothing, same everything. I was like, all right, that's disappointing. Because, like, Adam looks awesome. I love his new design.
Yeah.
Adam looks amazing. Dude, he's like the best of the more standard characters. Like, you have Axel, who's your, I can do everything, but I'm not really great at any of them.
Right.
You have Blaze, who is the faster one, and you have Adam, who's like the more brutal one, but he's also got a dash.
Yes.
He's like he's the best of those three.
Huh.
It's
weird that they hid like dashes and stuff in the other characters because I didn't see any of that because like I said, I was just like, I'll play through it once and then like I might come back because it's just kind of one of those games for me where I'll like put a couple hours into it and then be like, okay, I'll beat it once and I'll come back maybe later on down the line.
I couldn't beat it. I got to the level where it's just like tons and tons of Garcias with the knives and the long spears, and I just got turned into Swiss cheese, and I was like,
the dojo, no!
Fuck this game.
Okay.
Yeah. I got so held up by the cops with shields. Those guys were pains in the asses. I had so many problems with them.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have any trouble with those at all.
Oh, man.
Just gotta move up and down or jump. So you
Yeah,
just see him
I was just
wind back.
bad. I'm just bad at it. Let me put it like that. I'm just real bad. I couldn't, for whatever reason. Yeah, I would jump and that like I would always mistime it because I'm just not good at it. And I was like, oh, these guys are a problem for me. But like I could deal with it. But oh man,
Yeah. I've had, so it's my take on that is I've had sort of a, I don't know, like I've come to an awareness of the kinds of games I like in a very specific way, more so than I was previously. It's like, why everybody likes this game and I like this game too, but why doesn't it stick? It's because I don't like it as much as I like these. I'd rather be playing something else. It can be a good game. It can be a game that I actually think is great, but I would just, in my mind, rather be playing something else. And what I gravitate toward are arcade style games. Not necessarily arcade games, but games that aren't, I don't want to sit there and sweat over stats and what ability goes here and this and that and mix and match that stuff. Some people love that stuff. I just want to get in there and do whatever it is I want to do.
Yeah.
right.
If I gain levels and I have to make a couple of minor choices, I'm fine. If you give me a skill tree, it better not be too complicated or I'm going to lose interest because I don't like sitting there thinking about it. Not that I won't do it, not that I don't appreciate it, but again, I'll go to something else that gets me to the action faster. And it's funny that you mentioned River City Girls, because I think that's almost like, now River City Girls is not that complicated, and I really like River City Girls. And I don't even know if I prefer Streets of Rage to River City Girls, but they're completely different games.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I need Streets of Rage to be like to have like RPG mechanics or that, but like I would have liked, because everybody has their forward attack special, right? I would have loved if everybody also had like an up attack and a down attack, just to add some variety to it, right? Like, because I think you have the basis for like a really cool combo system, and it's like, so then give me some more tools to really like play with that. And yeah, I mean, I've seen people do like these insane, like they just keep a combo going for like the entire level and stuff like that.
Right.
But they're kind of cheesing it to do that. It's like, I want to actually like, okay, like, I'm going to jump in, because that's what I used to do on Streets of Rage. Like I would jump in with like a knee drop and then like bam bam and then like pause and then bam bam again and then do my special move. Like that was really cool. And then when you add juggling in there and the wall bounces, like that just really opens it up. So it's like, if you give me like a hard attack, like a hard punch in addition to like at least one more special move, like that's the sweet spot for me. And so River City Girls was like, okay, cool. Like I've just been playing for like 5 minutes. I've already unlocked like this really cool extra move. That obviously River City has always been, it's always had a lot of RPG mechanics to it. So, I don't need Streets of Rage to go in that direction, but I would have liked some extra moves, in my toolbox.
I just want a Streets of Rage game that is basically made in like a Yakuza style, and you get to roam around that city. And basically, like it's just this. It's the Streets of Rage city, but it's like Yakuza style side quests and stuff like that. I think that would be fun. That would be cool.
They didn't do that with Streets of Rage, but didn't Final Fight have a really bad game like that?
Final Fight Street was yes, it was very bad.
Yeah,
I still want to play it. I still want to play it. Did I buy that? I think I might have bought it. Hold on, I'm checking my app real quick.
Play as Cody's brother. I can't remember his name, and then you find out, and then the whole setup for that game is like a bad version. It's like rip off Fight Club. It's not very good. But man, it'd be cool if they made a good one.
That's going to be the thing that costs Julian money when he's editing this episode.
There you go. Yeah, have fun with that.
There's always one thing.
The other thing too is so. The thing is, you have simplicity versus complexity. You wanted complexity. This game is going for simplicity. Like, that's what it achieves. Like, how much can we do with this very little thing? And it turns out you can do a lot. Right. Really.
Yeah. And I don't want it, like, overly complex. I just wanted it to have a little bit more meat on the bones, right? Like, and the block button is just purely because, like, dude, there's some cheap ass shit in these games, and it's always annoyed me. And it's like, if you could just let me, like, when I see it coming, but I can't do anything else, just let me hit that block button.
There is a solution to everything this game throws at you.
Yeah. And I tend to not, like, I've also noticed that my reflexes aren't there, because, like, I'll see the guys with the knives coming, and it's like, I'm just going to get hit by that because I reacted just a moment too late.
Those kicky guys with the shorts and the hands in the pockets. I still struggle with them.
They wreck me.
But if you're in a grab, you can do stuff in that grab that puts you into like an invincible state, and he'll go right through you. And the game tells you, like, the game will show you this. It doesn't tell you this. I shouldn't say it like that.
Right.
But you'll see that happen once or twice and be like, oh, there's iframes here. And then once you wrap your head around that, you can do that. You also have your defensive special.
Right.
And
I think that's really what they want you to do is rely on that for.
Yeah.
I think they want both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the iframes are intentional.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing
I don't think I ever would have picked up on that. Like I'm noticing recently that like I am not picking up on what games are trying to teach me. Like I went through like 35 hours of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I don't think I ever actually learned how to play the game. I think I started to get it towards the end, and I think if I played it again now, like I would probably do way better. But I don't think that I actually played that game properly.
Right.
I can't say enough though about the presentation in Streets of Rage 4. They destroyed that. They did such a good job with that between the art style, and yeah, you can talk about how they age the characters and whether you like it or not. And I understand that some of this stuff is debatable, but they did do a decent job of it. And then just the dynamic music too is phenomenal. Like the first time you encounter one of those cops with the shields, the way the music like just hits this drop just as his shield goes out is just great.
That's what I was going to ask you about it, because you're the music guy. I hate the music in this game. Like it all sounds like generic YouTube intro music to me. And it got me thinking actually. So like, it made me wonder, because I love the Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack, but it's like, I wonder if the Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack was actually just generic 90s like dance music, but because like it was coming out of a Genesis, it sounded so like different and amazing, but maybe it's actually really generic. And if you played that music, like if I had never heard the Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack and you played it for me today, I might, maybe I would actually not like it. I can't divorce myself from the nostalgia of it, but to me, this stuff just sounds very generic and like not good. Like I was like, yeah, this sounds like every YouTube video where whenever I turn on a YouTube video, it's like, oh, this intro is awful. And it's like, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, so it is. You're actually kind of right. It is generic club music. That's exactly what they were going for with it. Like, Yuzo Koshiro has said he wanted to make club music when he made the game with Streets of Rage 2. I don't think it's fair to compare anything to Streets of Rage 2, though, because that music was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, no, but I just from the standpoint of like maybe like the Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack isn't as great as I think it is, but just because if you compare it to like the other stuff of the time, maybe it was just very derivative of that style of music, but it's just because I hadn't heard that style of music, and also like there's no other game from that era that sounds like that. Right. Like maybe that's the reason that it resonates with me all these years later, right?
I believe that actually went the other way, and they played Streets of Rage 2 music in clubs, like they actually did.
Okay,
yeah,
that's interesting.
I think I remember reading that story somewhere. I might need to double check on that, because it's been years since I read anything about Streets of Rage 2. But I want to say it made that hop the opposite direction. He was inspired by the club music, and then it ended up going into clubs.
Yes.
That's pretty neat.
Then and they did the same thing with this, is they try to like, so there's this weird thing that happened with music where like 80s/90s stuff came back, but it came back different. Like it got a bit of a glow up on the way back.
Yep.
We really didn't have synthwave in the 80s. We didn't. We had those elements in songs, but as a song style itself, I don't think it was ever really a thing.
Right.
No,
it's evoking a nostalgic feeling, but it's not actually what was there at the time.
Right. You had like new wave, but that wasn't like, that isn't synth wave. Like if you go back and listen to it, it's not, it's close. The elements are there, but like they took like modern stuff really took the elements that were like cool and interesting about that music and turned them into good music instead of like Flock of Seagulls, which are bad.
But like they heard that hook, they heard the hook in, that I Wear My Sunglasses at Night song, and they're like, we could make an entire genre out of that.
Exactly.
And they did.
Yeah, because there was definitely elements of it, right? Like I just found out that Amazon Prime has Project ACO available, and I started watching it because it's been like 20 plus years since I watched it last, and I love the soundtrack to it, but I forgot what the anime is about, and I was like, okay, yeah, like, you can definitely get those hints of like, this is definitely synthy, but that's not, that wasn't prevalent. That wasn't like the overarching thing of the time. It's just like you get little snips of it here and there, and it's like, oh, that sounds really cool.
It was another tool that they used to contribute to an overall song. It was never the meat of the song itself, usually. It became the hook in a few of them. I mentioned that one song already, but that wasn't even like a big thing. It happened in a few songs.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they were going for with the soundtrack too, is they wanted to give like, okay, let's take the club music that was then, but what would it be like if we reimagined it now? And there's even some synthy stuff in it. I don't know if you played the Y Tower level.
I don't think so. I got like I said, I got to like the Chinatown one, and then they just eviscerated me.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, it's the one after. Okay, so that entire level as a music piece goes takes an absolute journey. Like, it starts with this like really chill kind of like laid back sort of I'm going to spoil a little bit of the game, but if you have I don't think it's that kind of game.
You can't fucking spoil a Streets of Rage game.
You punch through the wall and you end up in a sauna at the bottom of this tower, and the music is very like chill, kind of laid back, right? And as you progress, it gets more and more intense. You fight in the locker room. There's a couple enemies that come in. You go over to these elevators, and these guys come out the elevator door with guns, and the music takes a big drop, right? Like, as soon as these guys show up, it does that same thing again where the guys show up and the music takes this shift, and it's like, oh, things are serious. Guys with guns are here. You get into the elevator. It starts going up. It's a big glass elevator, and it starts with a synth thing, and the synth thing gets more and more and more intense. You're throwing people out windows and stuff. It's wild. And then that's basically the end of the level, is that whole thing. But the music goes from this really chill thing to where it adds and takes away layers and mixes things in and out to where you're doing this really crazy intense synthwave type of music with a city scrolling in the background and walls flying off elevators and you making piles of bodies on the concrete underneath the building. It's amazing. Right? Yeah. That was the peak presentation in that game, if you want my opinion. Just the way that whole thing sort of went out, and everything else is kind of like up and down from the bell curve on that level. But like that one level, I played that level itself again, over and over again, and I was like, I can't believe how they nailed all these little pieces of when does the music do this? When do these people show up? You fight people off with a mop. Why? Because Jackie Chan now. I don't know. It's crazy. And it's just fun, and it's simple, and it isn't. Yeah, you can make the game deep. You can start talking about iframes and cancels and what kind of throw you use in what particular situation, or you can get in there with one of your kids and just punch bad guys in the face going from left to right. Yeah. And it's a fun experience. It's their party games. They're the video game equivalent of party games, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I really had a good time with it, but like it's one of those games where like later on down the line I'll go back and have another good time with it, and it'll be fun. What you're saying about the music, because like I think because it's so dynamic, I didn't notice a lot of it. So it's going to be probably one of those soundtracks that when I go back and listen to it, I'll be like, oh yeah, no, I see what they're doing here. Like, that's really cool. But like at the time when I was playing it, because I get kind of like caught up in what's going on because I get hyper focused, but then I'm really bad at the game, so I have to focus even harder. So sometimes I lose music tracks unless they really like catch my attention. Like, and I kept waiting for like, cause I know like Streets of Rage, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a track here that really fucking grabs me by the scruff of the neck and is like, no, listen to this. It's awesome. And I kept waiting for it and it never like hit, but it was probably because there was such like a slow build and it dynamically changed that I wasn't really noticing it. That was so lost in everything that was happening. So
it's, that track is the one in the elevator.
Yeah.
And and 70% of the level is building up to that track, which is cool.
Okay, yeah. I will have to go back and check that section out then with a different character.
That's my opinion anyway.
I was really bored with the big dude too. Like his animations, I don't want to say they're lazy, but it's like his punch is just he just like puts his fist out. And then his back attack is just he puts his other fist out, and I was like, this guy is just I mean, the big guys are never the ones that I want to play in brawlers, but I was like, man, this guy is like the least interesting of any of these characters. I would rather play Max from Streets of Rage 2.
That's because he's not Hagar. Hagar is the best character. Yeah. He's the only good big guy in a fight, in a beat 'em up.
Yeah, because he's got that hook punch that I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just enjoy his lack of shirt. That's my favorite part of Mike Hagar, and that he's the mayor. He's just the best. Weird thing I want to bring up just at the end, at the tail end of this conversation, as like a weird suggestion to you guys and like maybe our audience that likes Streets of Rage 4. There's a game. It's a beat 'em up called The Takeover, which is really it's very Streets of Rage. Like you open the game up, you're like, oh yeah, they were going for Streets of Rage here. Mm-hmm. But it has like a dash on all the characters and like has really interesting mechanics. Like it has juggles and stuff. It has, Julian, you were talking about like, I wish these guys had different moves. Like if I pressed up and stuff like that. This one, like if you end a combo with like, while you're pressing up and A, it launches the enemy into the air and then you can continue comboing them in the air.
Yeah,
or
it
you
sounds
can
like my
end
jam.
it. Yeah, or if you end it on a down, it'll slam them into the ground and they'll stay there for a little bit so you can quick turn around and hit the other guys. And then you can there's an entire mechanic where you can, I think you press the trigger and it'll draw your gun out and you can shoot guys and you can actually hit people into the air, draw your gun out, shoot them and juggle them in the air with the gun. Like they made entire sections of the game where you're just walking around with an assault rifle and just shooting people, and it's stupid fun. And I had a good time with it. So check it out. If you really want an interesting little beat 'em up, that it's on Steam. I think it's on. It might be on Switch too. I believe it is. But definitely worth the look if you enjoy Streets of Rage games. I really enjoyed the mechanics. It felt good to play. Let me put it like that. It felt really good to play. So
yeah, and I do think Streets of Rage 4. It feels fine to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love the juggling and the wall bounce stuff, but it's like, oh, I just want these characters to move faster. Like even removed from a dash, just their actual normal movement speed, right? Because I was thinking about this because as I fired up all of these older Final Fantasy games, if you did remake Final Fantasy IX, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that you just or I take that back. Let's take the Streets of Rage 4 comparison, right? Because I would love if they did a new Final Fantasy game that is actually a 4-party member turn-based active time battle thing like the older games, right? Mm-hmm. But if you do that, I want that active time battle meter to go 20% faster by default. And then if you cast haste, then it goes up even faster, right? Because as much as I love those games, even playing Final Fantasy IX, it's yeah, there's definitely some times where you're just sitting there watching nothing happen because both your character, especially when you only have 1 or 2 party members, you're waiting for meters to fill. And even the monsters haven't done anything because their meter has to fill. And it's yeah, that needs to go about 20 to 30% faster for this to really work in 2020. Right. So it's I'm very cognizant of that. I'm and that's how I feel about this. As soon as I played it, I was like, whoa, this feels really sluggish. What? And then I realized, oh wait, but yeah, Streets of Rage 2 is really sluggish too. It's just that, and when I go back and play Streets of Rage 2, I'm cognizant of that, but it's just oh, okay, you didn't think to, maybe bump that up a little bit, just a skosh, just.
Yeah, I feel like you'd like to take over. It works on a little bit quicker speed. It's like I said, it's definitely very Streets of Rage inspired, but definitely a faster paced game overall, in my opinion.
man, you guys were talking a lot about the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I listened to the spoiler cast. I kind of decided that I'm waiting on playing the game, but I wanted to see what was going on there. And what struck me the most, well, let me go back a second here.
Yeah.
When you get I have this nasty habit of starting RPGs up and then getting a few hours into them and kind of putting them down and then never picking them back up again.
Oh, same.
I did that recently with Final Fantasy VI. And it was because I forget what the reason was. I think I couldn't go anywhere, so I was playing it for a little bit. And one of the reasons was I decided to play it on PlayStation. I don't know why. Of all the versions I chose.
That's a little,
that was
a little weird.
Yeah, it was what I had, right? I didn't,
Right.
I don't think I had the SNES Classic yet, but anyway. And there's this moment where Cyan, well, the whole thing with Cyan hits different when you have kids. I need to tell you that.
Oh, I believe it.
And especially that moment where, like, it's weird, like the ghost train is kind of goofy, but there's that scene at the end where he's on the platform and, the kid's going off with his mom and he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of mom. And I'm like, oh boy.
Oh,
like it hits real different.
Well, and also just once you've lost people, like I think if I played that now, like that would hit me different too, because like I now have like, there's a lot of things in that game that I think would hit a lot different that I mean, I definitely, I mean, I was, they still hit as a teenager. Like I was like, oh, I can totally see how this is doing some stuff that I've never seen before, but like I would get probably far more emotional at it now than back then.
What makes those moments work is subtlety.
Yes.
If they did that and then they did something with a big scroll talking about Cyan's feelings, it would have ruined it. You know what I mean? There's a similar scene in Final Fantasy VII. It's a very subtle thing, but it had a similar impact on me where my hair stood up. Which was right after you go and blow up that first reactor, you're walking around Sector 7, and there's a little kid who's jumping up and down, and he's going, explosions, explosions, avalanche is so cool. And I'm like, dude, we're freaking terrorists.
Right.
And this kid thinks we're the coolest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, that's scary. You know what I mean? Like, it upset me a little bit. And it didn't do it the first time I played the game. The first time I played the game, I was a little kid. I'm like, yeah, we're cool. We fixed the problem. We blew stuff up. And now I'm like, we freaking killed people. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'll bet that subtlety isn't there at all. Is it?
Well, I guess it depends on it. It's there in places. And I will say that, like, especially with the eco-terrorist stuff, like they go hard in the other direction this time where almost nobody is on your side, including the people in the slums and stuff like that. Like, you do not really hear any incidental dialogue. I mean, I think there's a little bit here and there, but there are very few people who are like, good on Avalanche. Like, even Avalanche themselves are like apparently like not on board with like Barrett's team. Like, they are kind of persona non grata in Avalanche, which is, I thought was a really cool addition to the story, where it's like, oh no, like they are extremists, and like even their own group doesn't actually want to avow the things that they've done.
Right.
Because it sounded like there was like no subtlety in that whatsoever when you guys went over it.
Well, there's no subtlety when
it
it comes to the larger things, like with the Sephiroth stuff and the, their constant need to spoil their own story. But then you start to realize why they're doing it. And like I said, like at the beginning of last episode, I kind of got it danced around because this isn't a spoiler cast, but like I had come around after we did the spoiler cast, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of really excited for the next game, because you can go anywhere, and like they could do some really cool shit. And then instantly that was completely deflated by all of the stuff that they said in their interviews, where it's like, oh, not only do you guys not know what the next game is, and not only have you not even started planning it, but like you can't even commit to what you're doing, because like Katase literally said, oh no, Final Fantasy VII is going to continue as it always has. Like, we're not changing the story. And it's like,
I'm glad you read that same article I did. I wondered if you did. Yeah.
They have no idea what they're doing.
They have no idea what they're doing.
They have no idea what they're doing.
Like, and it was kind of a joke, but literally one of the developers says like, yeah, how did we get to Calm? Because like, I don't remember the rest of the game. I just remember the Midgar stuff. And it's like, You've gotta be fucking kidding me. And then you've got Nomura saying, well, I want to do smaller chunks. Like, I want the next game to be a smaller chunk than Midgar. And then Katase is saying, well, some people seem to think that it's going to be a trilogy. They don't know. Like, they don't have a plan. Idea. And it's like, I would have expected, like, okay, you're doing this first part. You've already said it's only going to be Midgar, but I would have expected them to have already been in the pre-production phase by the time this game finished, so that you at least had stuff to show. And it's like, they haven't even started.
Yeah.
And okay. Like, yeah.
I'm still waiting, but now it's for completely different reasons.
Yeah. There's like, and like, when you're going back to subtlety, like, yeah, there's like some interesting subtlety stuff. Like, I really like some of the moments with Tifa, and I like some of the moments with Aerith. They do expand on those characters, but they don't like come right out and say it. It's kind of like a little bit more expanded. I dig some of the little things that they do here and there, and then, but like the overall thing, like there's just certain parts that they do that just kind of ruin other things. It's weird. That game's so weird.
And then there's also, and this is just modern game design, but it's kind of funny because I think you guys have probably all seen that, like, what if Super Mario Brothers was made today? And it's like, as soon as you start the game, like a tutorial bubble pops up, and it's just like, but there's a lot of stuff in Remake where it's like, oh, okay, there's this cool puzzle. Oh no, you told me what to do. Okay. Yeah. Like before I could even like start to think about what, and God of War, I remember, I talked up and down about how I couldn't stand fucking Atreus. Like, the second you move into a puzzle room, he's already pointing stuff out to you, and it's like, I haven't even spun my camera yet. Like, let me come across this stuff organically, and Remake is lousy with that stuff where it's like, oh, cool, you're gonna give me the chance to, oh, no, okay, you told me what I need to do exactly. Okay, well, fine. Like, that's just the way games are now, I guess. Like,
at the same time, I'm very lazy when it comes to puzzles, and sometimes to the point where in my action games, I hate them. So sometimes I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
There are parts in Remake where it started to get to, like, Zelda levels where it's like, take the training wheels off. Like, this is not my first rodeo. Like,
right. Right.
All right.
Well,
yeah,
cool. I've got a lot of thoughts about it, and it still boggles my mind that, like, I've watched a lot of stuff, like, very critical. Well, not critical. Like, people are very not critical of this game. That's the part that blows me away. But, like, people who are big fans of, like, the source material, and then they're just over the moon for this stuff, and it's like, okay, but like I really feel that am I in the, like, because I don't even, like, hold this stuff to very, like, a high regard, but it's like, don't you guys see how this is missing the point of, like, the themes and the characters and like, I don't know, like,
it's like I said on the spoiler cast, I'll say it here again. I don't know if it's good yet. It might all be genius. But I don't know. Like, I won't know until, like, a game or two down the line if this is any good. Like, they could be going someplace real, but then again, it's like we said, they don't know where they're going. Maybe
neither do they. They don't know if it's going to be good either.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. Maybe they're geniuses, but apparently, like, it scares me that they don't have a larger plan in mind, because that's usually where the really good writing comes. Like, no, we had this, like, grand plan in place from the beginning, but yeah, we'll see.
And I knew it was going to deviate somewhat, right? I mean, you can't get the band back together. Sakaguchi's never going to set foot in a Square Enix office ever. Right. You know what I mean?
And it should deviate because there's a lot of shit in the original Final Fantasy VII that's just bad. And there's stuff that you should just cut, and other things that just need to be clarified and explained and maybe delved into a little deeper. And that's what, that's the stuff that I was coming to this for. And there's some of that. And yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag, to, use one of the cheesiest game journalist terms that you can, but,
well, he didn't compare it to Dark Souls, so you're good.
No, but I definitely think that they were trying to go for the type of, like, you really got to learn the enemies, that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I've definitely seen people playing where it's like, oh, they're not taking damage and stuff like that. Like I said, I didn't really get the finer points of it. And, I was definitely switching characters and using my abilities and stuff like that. But it always seemed that, like, I was just kind of, like, doing battles of attrition. And part of that is also that, like, the bosses are just, like, set up in a way where it's like, this is just
And
is
even
just
some
really long.
And even some of the regular enemies, you have to stagger. I'm like, no, I'm not on board for this.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the stagger stuff. I like I said, if they took that part out, I'd be totally fine with it. Or if it was turn based, I'd be fine with it being in there. I can't have them. I need one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to split the difference. I've said that before, and it just for whatever reason doesn't click. There's something about it that doesn't click with me. But
clicks with everybody else apparently. But
it's trying to be character action and turn based at the same time, and those two things are like complete opposites, and they don't mix very well. But whatever.
Yeah.
I think I dragged you guys down the path of Final Fantasy VII yet again.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sorry.
Dude, it's going to be coming up this year. Like this is going to be the Doom 2016 of 2020, but not for the same reasons.
Oh, no.
I apologize in advance. It was funny because I got into a good Facebook conversation with our buddy Gabe from Arcade Memories. Because he listened to the show, because he hasn't played the game either, but he was like, yeah, this is kind of what I was worried about. Like, I'm really glad that, I was really glad to hear your guys' take, because it wasn't like an opinion that I've heard very often, out there, and you surfaced the stuff that I was most concerned about, and I was glad to hear that stuff that I was concerned about is actually, that I had reason to be concerned.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. All right.
Well, Justin, I feel like you've been kind of we've all been talking, but you definitely haven't.
Oh, I haven't introduced a game that only I've played.
Yes.
Well, before we do any of that, Julian, I would like to talk about Candlebox for a moment. Their band name origins, the band name Candlebox was taken from guitarist Peter Klett. He was a family friend of the band, I guess. When the band played local gigs, they hauled a lot of equipment and were using drummer Scott Mercado's uncle's van for the time being. They all pitched in, bought a 1987 Ford F-150. They go into way too many details with the car. Why? Why would you do that? Girlfriend of singer Kevin Martin, was kind of a hippie, and she lit a candle inside the glove box. Thus, Candlebox. Get it? Okay. Anyway, I played XCOM Chimera Squad.
Okay.
Seamless transition.
That's how you do it. That's how that's my style. See, it's not seamless at all.
Yeah.
XCOM Chimera Squad is a game. This one's a tough one.
This is already sounding like a fifth grader's book report that didn't actually do the reading.
No, I did. I beat the entire thing. So I don't hate I love XCOM. I love XCOM 2 a lot. I played it a good amount of times. I put a ton of hours into it. I love strategy RPGs. I love how punishing that stuff is. I love the permadeath. I love making my own stories. So this was kind of like Firaxis or Firaxis, however you pronounce that. I believe it's Firaxis. This was their chance. So the game is okay, it's XCOM, but all the characters are pre-done already. You don't make any of the guys. Normally in XCOM, you kind of you get these generic dudes, or you can make your own, which is what I do. I just make a bunch of guys and yep, this is my squad. And then I kind of discover them as I go. And it's kind of fun because you're making up your own stories as you're working through the game. And that's entertaining to me. So this one, they have pre-generated characters. So right away you go, oh, they're gonna actually tell a good story, because the stories in XCOM are they're there. Yeah, exactly. It's kill the aliens. Aliens are bad. That's really it. It's you don't go to XCOM for the stories that are in the game. They're just not particularly strong, but it is an interesting world. At least, if you sat down and looked at it, it has there's stuff you could do here, right? So you get all these pre-built characters, and you're kind of going through, and you expect them to kind of tell this full story, an actual story-based XCOM. That's what I was expecting, and they tried very. No, they didn't try very hard. What am I talking about? They didn't really try hard. They did it. They made a game. So I'll say this, what I like about it. I really wanted to get on here, like, as I was playing through, like, when I first started the game up, I was like, oh, you know what? This is really kind of a good XCOM to recommend as a first one for somebody to play through if you've never touched one before. Unfortunately, I can't do that for a lot of reasons, but I'll get into those in a little bit. But, like, I loved how, like, so basically you go into every encounter. Normally in XCOM, you just start out and there's fog of war and you go around and you're slowly uncovering the map and trying not to get seen by aliens. And then once you get seen by an alien, then it's on. And then sometimes you can drift too far and trigger another encounter, and then you're really in trouble. And then it just escalates from there. And that's like the stress of the game. Like, that's what's fun about it, is like accidental things that happen that you just like, oh shit, I really fucked this up. And that's like, bailing yourself out of those moments is really fun and really like rewarding. It, like, you feel that stress, and then you're like, you just take a deep breath and it's like, oh my God, we made it out of that. Okay, great. That was awesome. Okay, cool. This one starts you out, every encounter starts out with like a breach, because like you're in a city. Not like, it's not like the entire world. It's just like you're in a city in XCOM and you're like this little elite force that's breaking in, and you're going to solve the problems of the city. I don't know. They don't really tell you anything. They do. It's not very good though. But like you start out with like a breach. So like you're kicking in doors, and like you can have guys like bomb walls to go in through a different way, or go in through vents and stuff like that, which is cool. But it takes out that tension of like, oh shit, I accidentally like ran into this other guy here, and now I have these other guys on me from this angle, and they're on my flank, and now I have to get everybody out of there and back together in the group, or I'm going to die. Instead, it's like everybody's right in front of you, but like it's very quick encounters. It's very fast paced in that way, which I kind of like and kind of don't like, because it takes away from the stress of, you know, what I like about XCOM, but it also makes it like, you know, like a faster paced game, because like you get done with one encounter and then it moves right to another breach section, so you're right back into another encounter. So it's almost like it's like XCOM arcade mode. Yeah, which it's neat, but like like I said, it just takes certain stresses away from the game that I really like about the old ones. I really liked that, like, oh shit, I accidentally ran into this dude and now I'm fucked, and all these other things. That's the type of stuff I go to XCOM for, and I know that's me. That's a me thing mostly. I mean,
I obviously I haven't played them, but that's the impression that I get from a lot of people that play them, is that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it. But
right.
I mean, I do tend to applaud when like long running franchises like shake things up and try something new. You know, a lot of times they don't necessarily like stick to the landing, but it's also cool that this seems to be like kind of like an experimental, you know, cheaper product.
It almost, I'll put it like this, because this is how I really feel about the game. It feels like they had this idea in mind, and they're like, we want to try something different. But it's almost like at the last minute, the game just kind of wasn't coming together, and they're like, oh shit, this game's not that good, but we need to kind of make our money back. So what if we just release it? And I know that sounds really harsh, but I had like a ton of problems with this game. Like, so my computer's not bad. Like it should run this game no problem. I was getting a lot of soft crashes, which, to differentiate, like, it doesn't crash you to desktop, which I would prefer. This one would crash, and I would just be stuck looking at it, waiting for it to do things, and it would do it in the same spots. Like, I could almost recreate it sometimes. Like, there's supposed to be parts where, like, okay, you get done with an encounter, but you're not done with the encounter. There's supposed to be guys that keep coming in. It's like they'll infinitely respawn from the sides of the levels, and just to add stress to your escape. And that's, you know, that's an XCOM thing. It's just you have to keep, you know, slowly working your way up those small maps. They're really small. And you eventually get out. But like, it would go to load those guys in and then never load them in, but never let you do anything because it's still loading those guys in. So you can't quit out of the game. and I couldn't minimize the game, so I had to Control-Alt-Delete everything and go and like sign out of Windows, sign back in, and then those are the worst crashes to me. Yeah, those are bad. Like that's like modded Skyrim level of like, oh fuck, it really went wrong this time. Like we're gonna have to get out of here. That's a bad crash. There's parts of the game where like your guy will be behind cover, or like an enemy that's like a little bit bigger, like a muton or something, will go behind cover or something like that. They'll turn to shoot you, and they'll clip with the geometry and just start bobbing up and down. And I'm like, oh, they didn't polish this at all. This is not great. This is not a good thing to have happen here.
So,
go ahead.
I'm just kind of spitballing here. Do you think if they had said that this is an early access title, that would kind of change your expectation? I mean, obviously it's a budget title, but even so, like if they said straight up like this isn't like a fully finished, fully featured game, like, do you think you'd be like, oh, okay, well...
possibly, yeah. I'm pretty forgiving when it comes to that stuff. And there's a game I'll talk about later that, I give that one a lot of passes because especially this other game that I'm going to talk about. I give it a lot of passes because of the scope that it's going for. I probably would have, because it just seems really unpolished and really like it needs a few patches or something. It needs something.
Yeah.
But even without that, like it's so you have these pre-made characters, so it's obviously going to tell you a story. So there's they did writing, they tried. God bless them, they tried. So now there's interesting characters, like you get to play as the aliens this time. Now this is after the events of XCOM 2. Spoilers, you win. So like all the aliens are at peace and stuff like that. And they go into some interesting places. Like there's a guy who's like, he's like a clone of another dude, and then eventually you fight that other dude. And this is mentioned one time by the dude who's the clone of the other dude, and it's like a really short little dialogue thing, and they never expand upon it. And it's just not great storytelling. Like there's interesting characters, but they don't expand enough.
Right.
And then even the ones that like aren't interesting are really not interesting. They're just like, I got some quirky dialogue and they're trying to be funny, and I'm just like, this just doesn't fit. It just doesn't work for me on any level, and the story's just so milquetoast. Somebody shot the mayor of the town, and you gotta find who shot the mayor, so go kill these 3 factions, and okay, I guess I'll do that. Oh, that wasn't the one, you'll get him next time. Go get the other faction.
Let me guess, it's the third faction, right? It's always the last one.
No, it's none of them. Because I won't spoil it. I guess if you want to play XCOM, it's actually, why even bother? There's somebody pulling the strings behind the scenes. That's the story, but you don't know who it is. And guess what? They don't introduce it until you're all the way through the game. Like that's not a good build. Like it's just like I got no build for this. Yeah. Like you get to the last boss, and you're like, I don't even fucking care about this dude. And like
turns out it was Zemus the whole time. You thought it was Golbez, but it was Zemus.
Right. It's almost that kind of shit, man. Like it's not great. And I don't know, man. It left kind of a bad taste in my mouth. It really did. I like some of the ideas. I love the breaching thing, even though like it takes that tension out. I would love like to be able to like expand on that and be like, oh, there's actually closed off buildings in this larger map that you have to kick down the doors to. That'd be so cool. And I hope that's like I hope this is them trying things out. I don't think writing's their strong suit if they're going to do this. I don't think it works for this series, especially with like permadeath, because that's that's what makes those games to me. Like, and that being off, it's a lot.
And that always makes Fire Emblem a little bit weird, where it's like it's permadeath, but then there's these certain characters that are important to the story, so they're still going to be around, even though you can't use them in battle anymore. And it's like, all right, that's just strange, Yeah,
exactly. It doesn't work, and that's why they tell the stories they do. XCOM games don't really need much of a story, and even like if this was something that they could have used this as a tool to like expand on the universe, and it just fails. It just doesn't really work. It misses a lot of marks for me, and I like I said, it was a buggy mess to get through, and also that game, okay, so I was breezing through a lot of stuff because, like, I play a lot of XCOM. I know how to do the shit. I know where I gotta be. I know how to flank dudes. I know when I can do what. I know my stuff on it, okay? So I was breezing through it pretty well, and I got into one encounter that I have never been so pissed off at in my life. Like, it felt cheap to the point where I was like, this is bullshit. like there's an enemy, and I forget what it's called, but you kill them. They're like a alien inside of like a mech, and so you kill the guy in the mech, and like that. But then what happens is the mech takes over the body, so you have to kill him twice. Now, normally when you encounter this in XCOM, you encounter one in like a whole map. This one threw like 3 at me. And along with a gatekeeper, which is a big boss, along with 2 robots, along with a bunch of other dudes. Also, the gatekeeper could spawn in more dudes. And I was like, this is such bullshit. Like, I get that you're like, it's almost like they're like, the game isn't hard enough. We need one thing to make this like actually hard. And I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, I hate this. But yeah, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, it's XCOM. It plays like XCOM. It just misses like on what I would have wanted from an XCOM game.
Yeah. But I do think it's cool that it seems like they are just trying to workshop some stuff, and I do think that they were like, let's throw this out there and see what people think, and then because like maybe what it is, like you were saying, like you would like to see that breach thing as part of a larger thing. So it's like maybe that's one of the things that works, and so then they integrate that and they throw out some of the other stuff. Like I think that's really interesting. Yeah,
there's good, like I said, there's good ideas here, and I hope they really take those and go, yes, this was a really cool thing that we did. Let's expand on this and like actually, build it into what makes XCOM. But like for this little thing, like I said, for a cheaper game, like I paid $20 for it. I think you can even get it for free on something. If I'm not mistaken, at least you could. For $20, like it's not bad, but like if you're like really dying to play some XCOM, I'd wait, or maybe listen to me a little bit later when I get into a different game. But yeah, that's XCOM Chimera Squad.
If you're still looking for something to scratch that itch, I have heard real good things about Gears Tactics.
I thought about playing Gears Tactics. The thing is, so I could get it on Steam for $60, which I don't feel like I need to do because I have Game Pass.
Right.
I could go on the Microsoft Store. I don't really feel like messing with the Microsoft Store. And another thing, so I was real close to pulling the trigger on that one. The reason I didn't is because I made a realization that I just don't care that much about the Gears universe. I know that sounds harsh, but there's just something about it that I was just like, yeah, it works for that setting, but I just don't care enough. And when I looked into like, so I like actually like kind of took a look at some videos of it, and like I was like, okay, well, like, can you get guys and make characters and stuff like that? And like there was there, but not like what I would wanted.
Right.
And I was just kind of like, I don't know. And it just didn't sell me on it. Like what I've seen didn't sell me. But yeah, I've heard decent things about it too.
It's funny because like when they announced that one, I was like, oh, this might be the game that gets me into that type of strategy RPG, because like, XCOM has been very daunting to me, and I own it, but I've never actually like really gotten into it because it just really intimidates me. But then it sounds like Gears Tactics is actually like a lot more like chunky with that stuff, where like far deeper than you would expect a like Gears strategy game to be. And I was like, ooh, that might not be the one for me. And also I was shocked that it didn't come to Xbox One at the same time as PC. I just assumed that it was going to be on both, and apparently like it hasn't even been like officially announced for Xbox One yet, which is bonkers.
That's weird. Yeah. There's a certain simplicity to XCOM. Like there's really like limited trees, like and it's the same with this game. Like, everybody has skills that they unlock as you go through their character, and you make a decision here or there, like, do I want this thing or that thing? And that's the same thing in XCOM. You get like a job class. It kind of will like assign them a job depending on what they did, and I don't know how that works. I never figured that system out. but like it'll split off, and you can like, I can have a sniper that's really good with pistols, or I can have a sniper that's really good at sniping people. And like, it's good to have one of each, you know? So like, you just go down those trees like, okay, this is my pistol dude, this is my long range guy, and then like, you can have this cool hybrid guy that like, oh, he's good at both things. He has like the sniper rifle and a cool perks for that, but he can also like whip out his pistol and just take shots at dudes sometimes if they get too close. And there's cool little things. It's real simple, and like there's a lot of just simplicity in that system. Like, it seems complicated, but it's not. Like, hey, guys are on a ledge, throw a grenade on the ledge falls down, and now you killed all those guys. That's cool. Like, I love that. And like, and I'm sure that's there in Gears 2 as well. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't play it. But like, there is a certain complexity that can be overly complex. And the other reason I got scared about it is there's no grid. And I know that sounds real dumb, but I do like a grid.
Yeah.
The XCOM system, like, it'll show you exactly, hey, this is full cover. If you go here, you are covered on this side, and half covered on this side, or whatever. You know exactly where your cover's at, and like, you know, like when you're out in the open. And like, I get nervous about that, like when there's no grid. I know that's real dumb, but like, tactics games to me like don't click unless they have that.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got enough concerns about it to maybe wait for it to, at least, if you're going to check it out, be on sale. But
exactly.
The weirdest thing is there is a grid. It's just invisible. Like, I was watching a streamer play it, and he goes, "There's a grid here. Watch." And he was moving his mouse, and you could see it snapping from place to place.
Okay.
So it's there.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
You would think there would at least be like an option where you can surface it if you want to see it, right? Like,
that'd be nice. Yeah. I would instantly turn that on. That would instantly make it more appealing to me.
That was a design choice, I'm sure. Like, somebody went, if we turn the grid off, it looks more gritty and realistic. So let's go with that, because Gears, probably.
Oh yeah, probably. Assuredly, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. That's what happened.
Angelo, I'm gonna kick it back over to you, but before I do, because I don't want to forget about this. Like, by any chance, do you have Amazon Prime?
I do.
Dude, have you watched The Expanse?
Not yet.
Dude,
but I did watch something cool. Go ahead.
I think you should watch The Expanse, because I know you like your sci-fi hard, and that's some hard ass sci-fi. And I just like randomly started watching it a couple weeks ago. I'm on season 3.
Good.
It real good.
Nice.
Like, it kind of scratches the same itch that Battlestar Galactica did for me. I mean, they're very different types of shows, but there's a certain realism to it, along with like the overall like socioeconomical and like geopolitical stuff that factors in. That's especially like, again, like I didn't intend for this, but just like watching it right now, it's like, oh, what a wonderful show to illustrate inequality in a science fiction setting.
Yeah.
Like, this is very pertinent to real life right now. Yeah, I really like it. Even though it has like one, there's like 4 main characters, and one of them I think is a sociopath, and I kind of can't stand him. But he's kind of growing on me by season 3. But first couple seasons, I'm like, dude, you need to airlock that dude. He is going to murderize all of you. But anyway, Expanse people know who I'm talking about. But yeah, I highly recommend it.
Okay.
That's been like the thing that I've been like, preaching about lately. Like, I was trying to figure out a birthday gift for my friend Joe in Colorado Springs, and I was like, I'm gonna get him the first 2 seasons of The Expanse, because it's really hard to get him to watch stuff that I like, but it's like, he's gonna have to if I just like put it in his face. It's like, here, watch this.
That's it's funny you mention that, because of all the weird ways for me to get introduced to things. There's a really good Expanse board game that people were talking about on podcasts for a while.
Nice.
And I was like, this show sounds cool too. And it was one of those things where I kept hearing about it, being, I need to check that out.
Yeah.
Forgot about it by the end of the podcast or whatever it was. It just happens.
Yep.
But yeah, okay. I'll really try to like dig that into my brain and maybe go looking for it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because that does sound neat. Like, and the stuff they said about it, like, just seeing like the consequence of different things, and this faction lives out in the asteroid belt, and that kind of like all this stuff that kind of goes on in the interactions between them, and
yeah. Yeah. Just to, like, for listeners, like, so basically the core premise is that this is like 300 years in the future. So mankind has like spread out to the stars. So we have colonies on the moon, on Mars, other planets. And so, but now it's been so much time that Mars is actually like a whole different society now, right? Like they are no longer part of Earth. It's sort of like they're like the Russians and Earth is like America, right? Like there's an actual Cold War going on between them. They're both these huge superpowers. And then in the middle of all that shit, you have the people who live in the outer rims, basically like in the asteroid belts and on these different stations. They're called the Belters. And they're people who have, I mean, they're the downtrodden, and they're people who have been born in space, lived their whole lives in space. Their parents grew up in space. Their grandparents grew up in space. So they actually have like a lot of like weird health deficiencies and stuff. Like they actually have to take like supplements and like therapy in order to like actually grow properly. And so you have like certain people who have like hollow bones, or they're really tall and like emaciated, and, you know, like weird mutations and stuff like that. Not anything crazy like fur growing out of them or anything, but definitely like, oh, you can tell that person's a belter. And they even have like their own language and stuff like that. Like it's like they're all human, but as you get further away from Earth, like these tribes kind of like manifest, and it's really interesting, and a lot of it has to do with like, you know, these poor, unfortunate people who are just like the working class, who are just like being ground beneath the boots of these two larger powers. And then it centers on these four characters who were part of a like an ice mining ship that got destroyed, and they end up like going through some crazy shit and seeing some crazy shit. It's kind of interesting the way they just go from like one bad situation to another, and it's like, and they even say at one point, it's like, no one is going to believe us because like we have seen like the destruction of two like major like ships, that they're going to think we did it, because like there's no way that you get, you know, that you survive two of these attacks, you know, without having, you know, some part in it. And it's some real good stuff. So I highly recommend it. I'm actually thinking about picking up the books now because apparently, you know, it's been like a long running series, and that's how the show came out. And so. Just wanted to, you specifically, Angelo, I was like, Angelo should watch that.
That is on my radar. It's on my radar in a place where it keeps falling off my radar somehow.
Well, maybe when you listen to this after it gets published, you'll be like, oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, man, I wish, I need to like start keeping a notepad with me when I listen to all these shows, because I keep hearing stuff like, that sounds cool, and then I forget about it because the show goes on for another hour. You know how these things go. But I did watch something cool. I watched the Secret Good Star Wars movie, which is actually a series on Disney Plus.
Mandalorian or Clone Wars? Okay.
Mandalorian. I've heard Clone Wars is good, but I haven't seen that one. Mandalorian we binged the stupid thing in 2 days.
Nice.
And there's not that many. There's only like 8 episodes, I think. 7 or 8 episodes. I don't know.
Which I appreciate. Like that's... Yeah. Like those Netflix Marvel shows all should have been 8 episodes or less, because they were all like really padded, and I was like, this didn't need to be like, I think they're like 16 or something like that. It's like, no, you should have cut this in half.
Yeah, they go on a little too long. I've even watched, I got into Daredevil, like the first one. I was like, this is a really cool show. And I remember like toward the end being like, I'm kind of ready for this to be done.
Yep.
It drones on a little too long. But yeah.
It's pretty neat. And it's not really, I mean, I don't know. They're going to drag it kicking and screaming to where it clicks in with something else that's happening that's bigger in the Star Wars universe. But right now, I like the fact that it's not connected to anything else. And it seems to be off on its own, doing its own thing. I know they're not going to let it stay like that.
It's become too big now. Yeah, but I will say, like, I've only watched the first 3, that. Like, I think that's all that was available when I visited my friends last, and they had Disney Plus, and so we watched them because they hadn't started it yet. They were waiting for me, and it was interesting because like I didn't feel compelled to like run home and like get Disney Plus and continue watching it. But the reason is also the reason that I like the show is that it is not this like big, like 8 episode story arc, right? Like there's definitely little threads here and there, but it actually reminded me of the A-Team where it's like at least the first 3 episodes felt like okay, it's almost like a self-contained thing. Like, especially the third episode, it's like, oh, great, the Mandalorian and the Baby Yoda, like, they go to this planet, and they're trying to stay off the radar, but then some shit goes down. He helps these people, and then it's like this cool action set piece, but then, oh, well, he's got to go back on the run because now people know that they're there. And I was like, yeah, this is sort of like a little bit of A-Team, a little bit of like the old Incredible Hulk show, like just like this, like and the way I envision it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Angelo, but it seemed to me like it was going to be like, yeah, every episode is a new adventure. They're going to go to a new place, meet new people, and he might stick around for a little bit, but eventually he's going to move along down the road. And I was like, that's a really cool, like, I miss that in television. Like, there needs, like, not everything has to be like this, like, big, like, we're going to take this entire season to tell this huge story. It's like, nah, sometimes you just want Next Generation.
Sometimes you just want Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
That's what exactly.
I always just want Walker, Texas Ranger.
Who doesn't, Julian? Who doesn't?
There's episodes in that kind of reminded me of Firefly. I don't know if you've ever seen Firefly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Where it's just, you're a rogue just running around outer space, right? And there are, I think, 2 episodes in there that you could have cut right out of the whole overarching story, and you wouldn't have known it, right? I'm glad they're there. There's character development in there. There's stuff in there that tells you more about the universe and you know, the characters that you're with for this journey. But you know, if they weren't there, I don't know if it would have lessened the conclusion. But there is an arc. There is a conclusion to the first season. It's worth watching all the way through. I'll tell you that. Man, now I have to be careful because I know we've only seen the first 3 episodes. I will say in the end, they did a thing that I didn't think they were going to get away with, and they still did, barely, but they got away with it. I was like, oh, you guys pulled that off. I don't know how. I should be mad at you right now, but okay. You know what I mean? I'll go along for that ride. That's fine. And they earned the stuff. And I can't say this enough, too, because this is something that kind of, in the new movies, a lot of people poke this particular hole in it, that the movies don't earn a lot of the stuff that they try to just acquire. Mm-hmm. I know it's a very vague way to say it, and I don't know how to be concrete about it, but you know when you see it.
That's the whole current trilogy. Like, that
sure.
It doesn't earn, like, yeah. Well, I mean, the first one, Force Awakens gets by on just the fact that, like, it just feels familiar and fun. It's not quite earned, but you kind of give it a pass. But then the following 2 movies is like, oh yeah, you didn't earn any of this. Like, okay.
Yeah. This one, it feels like by the end, when they do some of the crazier stuff, the wilder turns, you feel like they've earned them. Mm-hmm. You know, and like I said, there's somewhere I'm like, boy, you scraped a little paint on that one, but you did it. You did it. You're okay. I'm nervous about the next season though, because Disney has sniffed the money.
Right.
They'd be like, oh, this thing is popular. This thing sold Disney Plus subscriptions. Nobody's going on here to watch Snow White. They're going on here to watch the Star Wars thing. We need to pump the well harder.
Yeah, because it seems like it started as almost like this, like, kind of off the radar thing, or under the radar thing, where it's like they just kind of let them do this thing, like because it seems lower budget than you would expect from a Star Wars production. And apparently, like, a lot of the environments are actually just straight up done in Unreal Engine. I just found that out this week. I was like, oh, that's crazy.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, it's the Deadpool problem, right? Like, the first Deadpool movie was done, I think, at like $100 million, which is, I mean, these days that's incredibly cheap for a superhero movie. Right. But they kept the scope small. And it worked. It's this huge hit, right? And made a ton of money. And then sure enough, like, going into Deadpool 2, like, Fox smelled the money. And then also, I think the original director, they were all pushing to go bigger and, more badass and everything. And Ryan Reynolds was like, no, the reason that this succeeded is because we went small. We're going small again. And they did. And it was like, that was the right call. But you don't always have that ability, especially if it's Disney. It's like, if they realize that they can be bigger, they're going to make it bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Disney hater. I fucking love the MCU and I love Disney movies and stuff like that. But, I am also fully aware that, like, they milk when they shouldn't. And yeah.
we've talked about Disney before on this show, with me on this show, and the things that I enjoy about it. And I can look at the corporation and go, man, I hate some of the things you guys do, right? As a company or as a corporation or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But still appreciate some of the stuff that comes out of it, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of where I sit on that whole thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have an axe to grind, or we wouldn't have a Disney Plus and watch The Mandalorian, but you know.
Right, yeah. I was waiting for the Marvel shows, but those aren't going to be coming out for a very long time now. So we'll see, because I really want to watch DuckTales, and that might be the thing that pushes me over the edge, because I think season 2 is about to start, and it's like I loved the first episode that they released for free on YouTube, and I was like, I need all of this. And I've seen clips from like later episodes. I'm like, this show looks like the best thing ever, man.
We got to watch that. I forgot that was a thing that we could watch on Disney Plus, and I need to fix that now.
Let me tell you this one little thing that I know about it, Angelo,
Okay.
because this will get you over the edge. Apparently, there's a whole subplot where they delve into the origin story of Huey, Dewey, and Louie's mom.
Okay.
And there's a part where she's on the moon.
Okay.
And the music is
No.
the moon music.
Get out of here.
That
Okay.
I need to
from
experience
the NES
this.
game.
I need to
So-
experience this.
That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah, that I know that from Ryan Scott on the Geekbox, and I was like, that okay, yes, that. Bravo.
As soon as my brain put DuckTales and the moon together, that's immediately the first thing that landed in there. And as soon as you started talking, I was like, I know, no way they did. That's cool.
Yep.
Okay, I need to
Yeah.
see this. I need to see that moment happen.
That show knows what it's about.
Yeah, good. Knows who its audience is, too.
Yeah.
But that's a cool thing, too, where a kid could see that and it wouldn't mean anything, but if their parents are in the next room, they'd be like, what's on the TV? What do I hear? What? So, that'd be cool.
All right.
Talked about The Mandalorian.
Yeah, we did.
Yep, we did. We did talk about The Mandalorian. That is a thing that happened.
Yeah.
Julian, do you have any other games that you would like to talk about?
I've got one thing kind of briefly, because I kind of just mentioned it like in passing last episode, but I did re-up my Final Fantasy XIV subscription. Mainly just a way to like kind of have a little bit of socialization, because, you know, I am a homebody, but like there are times when I go out and do things with people, and now I don't do that. So I was like, oh, okay, I can play Final Fantasy with my friend. We'll get on Skype, and, you know, so it's like, it's almost like there's someone in the room with me. I mean, the podcast helps, but, you know, this is on top of that. So that was mainly the reason I did it, was just to kind of like shoot the shit. You know, I talked to them and then, you know, make some progress. And we finished Heaven's Ward, which is the first expansion. And the cool thing about the expansion, or about actually each part of Final Fantasy XIV, is that like you see credits, and like it's like the end, and then like it gives you a little stinger of like what's to come, and it's like a very episodic thing. And like the end of Heaven's Ward was really cool, because like we were apparently very close to the end when I stopped a couple years ago, and I wish that I had just finished that before I, you know, stopped playing, because like there was like this, you know, couple like really cool story scenes, and this really cool last dungeon with an awesome last boss that we had to do a couple times because I got too sloppy. That's just for our Hexus. He'll get that joke. It's a Final Fantasy XIV meme, but he knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, and so finished Heaven's Ward, and then I was like, awesome, let's go to Stormblood, because like that's the one with like all of the, you know, like Doma Castle from Final Fantasy VI, and it's, you know, all the Far East stuff and samurai and ninjas, and I gotta see that. And then immediately you get there and it's like, hey, remember this is an MMO? Go find 5 of this. And I was like, oh shit. It's like, it had been quite a bit of time since I had to go like find 5 pieces of shit and then collect them to the guy, and then also go over here and like pick something up for him that's literally right in front of him, like, because those are some of the quests, you know, in an MMO, and it's like,
Right.
it's like, oh, I had forgotten, you know, and it's funny because like they're in on the joke. Like there's a character who like you get to a new area and like you're trying to like kind of get in good with the leader there, and one of your party members, or not party members, but one of the main characters says, well, I suppose that we could just go around and do menial tasks for the people of the village. And then there's like it kind of like just stops for a beat, and they're just like waits for you to like kind of it's almost like they're winking at you, but they don't actually wink, and it's like, you sons of bitches. That's really good, but also you sons of bitches. The game's got a really great sense of humor, and again, it really knows what it's about, and like, even just like little nods here and there, even just like little bits of dialogue, like, it's real good about that stuff. Like I really appreciate, even though Final Fantasy has had like, multiple translations over the years, the little things that still last even to this day. Like I said, I started playing Final Fantasy 1 on PSP because I've never played that version. Got to Garland, and sure enough, he says, "I, Garland, will knock you all down."
Yep.
And I'm like, that's great. Like, that's a really awkward line, but like, you better not change that. It's like, you spoony bard, you cannot get rid of that.
Yep.
But
exactly.
Yeah, I'm just kind of playing it whenever I can, but honestly, like, I haven't had much time because, like, turns out that working in death claims during a pandemic is real rough.
I bet it's not great.
Real rough.
It's not great.
Yeah, there are days when I work and then I clock out and I eat dinner and I watch a little YouTube and then I clock back in. And so it just has felt like I haven't really had much free time. And it's like this weekend, it's like I need to clock in probably on Saturday and Sunday, but I also have to edit this podcast. And it's like, well, that's a weekend. That's all that's happening this weekend.
I'm sorry.
It's fun. I mean, I'm glad that I still have a job, and if anything, I'm making more money than I was before this. Like, I'm very privileged to be in that situation, but it's mentally and physically draining. Like, like I've been so stressed, and also just sitting at looking at screens for so much that like my shoulders and my neck are just like in constant pain because I'm just like seized up, and it's like, so I need to find something to like really ease the tension, but I haven't been able to find it yet. I don't know. It might end up being more Diablo. I'm not going to lie.
Hey man, it's what you like, right?
It is. And it does a good job for, times like this. I did play or start up a game of The Sims 4 on Xbox One. I was finally able to like figure out the menus to like make a character like me. Cause I normally don't make me in video games, but in The Sims I do. And I was really enjoying it. I was playing like the tutorial part, but it's like you have a roommate in the tutorial and then you go to work and then they're like, play as your roommate for a bit. And I was like, but I just want to play as me, and I guess I can't do that while I'm at work. That's really
so weird. There's no roommate in the PC version of that. There's no like even really tutorial that I can think of.
I think there probably is, but you just don't look at it anymore because you don't need to. Like I definitely had the option to skip it, and I think if I skipped it, I probably would have just like been thrown into the world. But I was like, well, I haven't played a Sims game since The Sims. So I should probably play this tutorial.
Honestly, the more I think about it, I don't think there is either that or it was only the very first time I played it and I've completely forgotten about it.
Right.
But I think that on PC anyway, I think it just basically just starts, you put a guy in a house and it slowly gives you little like blurbs of like, oh yeah, if you do this thing, this will happen, like on the corner of your screen, but that's it. Yeah. Like it'll tell you how to do things and what to do and what you can do and don't have to do and stuff like that as you go. But that's weird. I didn't even know that was a thing. It makes sense for consoles though. Yeah.
Yeah. So. And I will say real quick before I, because I don't have anything else, but like Justin, I had sent you a video, but just for listeners, I have been binging a YouTuber named Gray Still Plays. Basically he just plays a lot of like simulation games and he fucks with them. But in particular, I love watching his Sims 4 stuff because he does these insane things like I think the last one that I watched was that he gave 2 men 100 wives, and he wanted to see like it's 3 men. And he wanted to see like which of them like woohooed the most, and that was going to be the winner. And so he'll just like, he puts all these mods on it and stuff, and there's a lot of recurring characters, and like I'm in love with Spleens the cat and Florida Man and Australian Man, and it's some funny stuff. And it's like I've watched so many of this guy's videos in the last 2 weeks, and I normally don't do that like with this type of like video content, but like he fucks with these games in ways that I really appreciate. Oh, yeah. And it does sound fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun things you can do in The Sims 4.
Yeah, it's interesting when you put 100 Sims into a space, like they just kind of stop taking care of themselves, and so like they're just like they catch on fire and they just like pee on themselves, and like they die of starvation because like the simulation literally just breaks down. And it got me thinking that if, there's that theory that like our world is just a simulation, and maybe we're just in a YouTube video right now and some asshole is just fucking with us.
I hope you're right, actually. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Then we get to have, get to have like a big, like weird, naked orgy when we actually break out of the Matrix at that point?
I would hope so.
Okay, all right. That's all I wanted to know, because that seemed fun.
Yeah, they were in amazing shape considering that like their nutrition was so poor and they were living underground. By the way, like those were some amazing specimens.
I imagine they had those old like those things that you put on your abs that would just like sit there and work your abs or whatever with electric shock or whatever.
Yeah.
You remember those? I think that was a scam. But we'll just say they work, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
I guess I played a lot of video games, but I will cut my list down considerably to the things that I really need to talk about. And one is actually a demo I played just to break up the strategy RPG discussion, because that's a lot of what I played.
You had an itch.
It's something about strategy RPGs is real relaxing to my brain. But this game, there's a game on Steam that I think, and I don't know if it's anywhere else. If I'm wrong, forgive me, but look into this game if you can and have access to it. It's a game called Starstruck, Hands of Time. And the demo on Steam is called Starstruck Prologue. Now what it is it's a rhythm game. But it's not only a rhythm game, it's also has RPG like town roaming. And also it has sections where you control a hand and completely destroy the town. And also it has the art style is handmade claymation. It's really cool.
Did you find a Monty Python game?
Oh, dude, this game is so good.
Okay.
At least what I played. Like I said, the style of it is instantly like endearing. Like you just start off and it's like, dude, it almost feels like it could be like a Monty Python bit. Like it starts out with like, you're on a rocket ship and like, you can see the guy holding the rocket ship and going to this thing that's clearly on a string, and then he hits the thing, and then it goes back, and then it actually goes into the style of the game, which is, like I said, the claymation. Like, for the most part, like you can see like the like fingerprints and stuff on the clay models. Like it's that handcrafted. Oh, wow. Like it's really, really cool how it looks. It just reminds you of like this like Saturday morning like cartoon type thing that like I instantly when I played it, I was instantly like I love the way this looks and I love how charming it is. But it's like I said, it's a rhythm game, music based rhythm game to the point where you can play it on controller, you can play it on keyboard, but it also gives you the option, if you have it, to play it with a Rock Band or Guitar Hero guitar. It is totally built for either thing, which is really cool. So like basically you start off, you're the kid, I can't remember his name right now. It's been a few days and I'm really bad with names. But you start off as the kid and you're just kind of walking around your house and you're grabbing your guitar and you're going to go play a concert, and it's real cute. And all the humor is like really charming and fun. Like basically there's a part where I walked behind the stairwell and like I was talking to his mom and the kid's mom and dad, and you walk behind the stairwell and I activated something because I was like, oh, a secret. This is great. Okay, let's see what this is. And basically it triggered a conversation between the parents. They were like just like fucking with the kid, like, yo, yeah, he's adopted and all this other stuff. And then they're like, yeah, we know he hides behind the stairwell and eavesdrops on us sometimes, but he's an okay kid. There was a part where like there was a little skeleton man in a prison cell, and you talk to the skeleton man, and it like zooms in on the skeleton's face. Oh, that part's great. I just spoiled it for somebody, but it's great. Just trust me on it. You gotta click. Anyway, rhythm game. Music has to be good. Basically, the premise of it is the kid does his own little music act. He's opening for this other band who like it's a girl who is like I think they're like best friends. They're really good friends. You can tell they give you some other stuff around that. But the basic music style is prog rock.
Ooh,
it's pretty good.
Ooh.
It's pretty good music. So it's
Can I just say, every time that I hear prog rock, because it's not a term that I'm really familiar with, I don't even know the genre, but I always in my head picture it as the city Prague.
If only, man. No, it's basically shortening. If anybody else is, like,
I know it's progressive rock, but
it's progressive
but
rock,
I always see it as like prog rock, and like I just think of like just like I don't know, like big Ukrainian looking dudes, just like with no facial expressions, just I don't know, slapping bass guitars and.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
So basically, like, it almost plays like I almost compare it to, like, Parappa the Rapper almost. Like, just like how it's almost like a rock opera.
Ooh.
Like, they're telling the story through the songs. Like, there's a part where the girl, like, gets locked up by her mom because her mom's a cop, so, like, her room is a prison cell. Like, you know, it's a stupid metaphor, but like they go all in on all this stuff. And like, she's basically just giving like this whole like rock opera type thing in the cell with a cardboard guitar, but like totally imagining it. And the whole thing's like a awesome looking little music video in the background. It's really cool. I don't quite 100% know where it's going yet. But like, immediate vibes story-wise reminds me of, and this is high praise, Night in the Woods.
Oh!
Immediately. Just, yeah, story vibes like that.
Dude,
like,
this game looks cool.
Like,
I'm looking at some screenshots right now. This looks like my jam.
It is totally different from anything out there. It's so good. Like, I played it like 2 or 3 times already because I love the music in it. There's one song that doesn't even have lyrics. They're like, you're trying, I can't remember exactly what you're doing. You're trying to like break your friend out of this thing. So like you have to play a song or something. It's just, and the song is amazing. Like there's piano. It just starts out with piano. Like the evil thing is playing the piano, and then you just start like strumming along on guitar to it. It's really good. I'd pay these people money right now just for the 3 songs on the soundtrack. They're that good. And then like it just has like almost like Katamari Damacy like parts where you're just like running around as a hand in this town. It's like destroy all the things, and that's how you unlock the next parts, because you're basically sent from the future to change the past or something like that. It's weird, but it's quirky. Every part of it just landed for me. I really, really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite things I played in a while. So yeah. And like I said, just immediately was sold on the look of it, and the music was just awesome. So yeah, if you're out there and you have Steam, definitely go check this game out. It's really cool. I even like tweeted something out, and the developers were like, really glad you liked it. I'm like, I can't wait to play the full thing. I'm really excited about it. It's awesome. I can't wait to see where it goes.
What's the name of it again? Just to say it at the end of the cover.
Starstruck Hands of Time is the full game. The demo I played is called Starstruck Prologue.
Yeah, that's what I looked up, and it popped right up. So I was just like doing some image search, and I was like, oh yeah, that looks That looks like my type of thing.
I honest to God, dude, I think you'll really like it. Like the rhythm game itself it's pretty basic, but like you're pressing buttons and like you press combinations. You move the joystick, like it'll change like measures, I want to say, like by moving the joystick. Like if you have it in the middle, like sometimes in middle of the like sequence, you have to like press down on the joystick to press the rest of the buttons, and like you're holding buttons and stuff like that. But like, it's so cool that, like, I think it's awesome that you can play that thing on a Rock Band guitar or whatever. Like, I think that's such a cool little touch that, but it's perfectly playable without that, like, because I don't have any of that stuff anymore. So, really neat game. Does anybody else have anything they would like to talk about, or is it just other games I've played?
I'm trying to think, because I kind of mentioned, like, the stuff that I've just been sampling. Let's see. Yeah, because I've played a bunch of the Final Fantasy stuff. Yeah, I played a little bit of Yakuza 0 on Xbox One just because I was like, hey, it's a Yakuza game on an Xbox. That's crazy.
Nice.
Oh, no. Well, I guess because I had mentioned it a little bit on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I didn't play much more of it after that, but like I did start up Kingdom Hearts 3 just as like an experiment to see like, all right, let me see, because like there's been a lot of comparisons of the remake to Kingdom Hearts. And man, like, it's been a while since I played a Kingdom Hearts game, and there's definitely plenty of Kingdom Hearts bullshit, like, at the beginning of that game, but I like the way that it plays so much better than the remake. Like, it's instantly, like, just the way that everything handles is a lot more fun to me. Like, the aerial combat, I love to be able to actually, jump and do stuff, but also, and I mentioned this on the remake, but in case people didn't listen to that, like, I just really love the way that I like Tetsuya Nomura's stuff when it's more anime and cartoony. Like, I don't like it when they try to, like, make it, like, hyper realistic and stuff like that. I think his art looks better when it's more stylized, because I love the way Kingdom Hearts 3 looks. And it's not that remake looks bad to me. Like, I think it's a really beautiful game, but I prefer his designs in this style. Like, playing Final Fantasy X-2, it's like, yeah, this stuff looks really good when it's this type of, like, and, they were trying to do a little bit more realistic by then, but that was still an era where they couldn't quite get it there, so they had to stylize a little bit more, and I just think it works better. That's really all I have to say. Like, I didn't even finish, like, the first area, and that was kind of the big bummer, and it was the reason that I stopped playing Kingdom Hearts 2, is that they kind of retread places, because, like, Kingdom Hearts 2, like, the first place that you end up going to is Little Mermaid's World, and it's like, but I went to Little Mermaid's World in the first game, and I know there's new stuff in here. Why couldn't you have the first place that I go be one of the new worlds? And then,
but Julian, don't you love being under the sea? Under the sea?
I do.
Life is much better down where it's wetter. Take it from that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it goes. That's how the song goes.
That is how it goes.
Sure.
Yeah, but so the first place that you go in Kingdom Hearts 3 is Hercules World, Olympus, and it's like, But I went there in the last two games, like at the beginning of the last two games.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that world so much.
And also, I'm not a fan of the Hercules Disney movie. Like, that's one of my least favorites.
Oh, really?
My sister loves that one, and I don't hate it by any stretch. I think it's
I don't hate it. It's just not.
Movie.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
Yeah, not by a long shot.
That I just have
seen
like
it once.
flashbacks of that. Yeah, I have bad flashbacks of the original Kingdom Hearts, because that's almost exactly where I got turned off of that game, because I was just like, I just don't want to. Yeah. I don't know what it is about this game, but I can't do it.
It's also hilarious because they have Phil, the fawn, the Danny DeVito character, but they clearly didn't pay Danny DeVito, and they didn't even try to do a sound alike, so he just like smiles and nods, and it's like, okay. Like, maybe just don't put him in the game if you're not even going to try to get a sound alike. Like, it's just really weird to have this, like, very vociferous character and have people talk to him and then him just do the Silent Bob thing. It's like, that's just bizarre.
Right.
But, I think I'm tapped out like that. Like, I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
All right.
I got a couple more things. One I could
definitely
be real brief with is, during all this, everybody is kind of looking for things to do, and one day in the living room, one of the kids was playing their DS, and they're like, "Hey, you want to play?" I'm like, "Well, what are you playing?" They're like, "Dragon Quest 9." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, you texted me this.
Nice.
It's like, really? I think that was one of the first things I mentioned when I came on the show was playing Dragon Quest 9.
Yeah, I remember.
That's how long ago it's been. So yeah, we busted that out, and of course I forgot completely what all the skills and abilities were and what I was even doing. Because I was clearly in the middle of, the post game on that where you were, going to different dungeons, and there's a whole thing with Dragon Quest 9. But that was neat. Like, we just teamed up and did a couple of like those random extra dungeons, and I learned a few, like, kind of got the hang of playing the classes again. And
did the whole family join in again, or was
Yes!
it just the two of you? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
All four of us were playing it for a couple of nights there, and it was hysterical. Like, at one point, my wife literally was, like, lying on the floor, like, crying, laughing, because just the goofy nonsense we were doing with that game. It was fun. So yeah, that kind of came back. There's really not a whole lot to say about that, because...
Yeah.
But, the other thing...
that does, real quick, that does remind me, I've been meaning to ask you this, because, like, I've just been curious, because your boys are quite a bit older now than they were when you started on the show. Because we're about to turn 8 in a couple months. Like, have they listened to the show yet?
No.
Like,
they have not.
Okay, I'm just because like I've been thinking about this a lot lately because like I'm never gonna have kids. But like, and I think maybe the reason I've been thinking about it is because like, Jeff Gerstmann just had a kid, and like a lot of like the podcasters that we listen to, like they're having kids and families and stuff like that. But it's like, because I don't really think about this show as like, and I guess I should. It's like, because I can definitely go back and listen to older episodes when I was going through some different things and be like, oh wow, like yeah, like my whole mentality back then was so different, or like the way that I would like talk about things was so different back then, because it's been almost a decade now. But it's like, like it would be so weird if I could like go back and listen to my father when he was in his 30s, just like shooting the shit with his friends.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's just really weird. And I don't know if your boys had ever just like just on their own, just like, hey, Dad, I listened to, one of the shows that you were on or something like that. Like, because I know they're big geeks now and everything. You did it right. So
it was pulling teeth though. So I think there's something that happens when your kids get to a certain age where not necessarily cool to be doing stuff with, one of your parents.
Yeah. I get that.
It was the older one is just like, hey, you want to play this? I was playing Streets of Rage 4. I was like, you want to play? He's like, nah. And then I got the younger one to play it with me. It took some time to get him won over.
Yeah.
Taking it downstairs and putting it on the good sound system, I think helped.
Right.
Putting it on the TV. But he played for a little bit. And he's like, no, you don't understand. This is actually pretty fun. You should come play it. And the older one's still just like, nah. So I think it's one of those things where, and I was like that too. Like about when I got to college age.
Real quick, all four of you could play that one on the TV, because it's actually 4-player co-op or local co-op.
Yeah, and you can do, I forget what the tool is, but you can use a tool to play 4-player online, but the actual baked-in online is only 2-player.
Right.
Is my understanding. But yeah, there was a whole thing where, like, now if my parents are like, hey, you want to get together and do something? I'm there, right?
Yeah.
Because there's that bit where you're like, no, I'm my own person
too cool
now.
For school. Yeah.
College age, really, you know? Yeah, your 20s and stuff like that. And then, like, you get to your 30s again and you're like, all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I want to spend more time with
Right.
So that's just where we're at.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
If they ever listen to the show, you'll have to let me know, because I'm just very curious.
I'll do that. At one point, the younger one was threatening to find it. He's like, I'm going to find it and I'm going to listen to it. And I was like, you'll never find this show.
Sad but true.
But I when he's older, I'll probably be like, yeah, if you ever want to listen to it, here it is. But now they're just not probably that interested in it.
Right.
But the other thing, so weird things happen when you back Kickstarters, especially for like board games and stuff, and then a pandemic happens. Is the boxes still come to your house? You just don't get to use the stuff that's in it usually. Right. So like board game nights are obviously not happening. And I'll play games with my family, but there's a different type of game that I will play with them versus like the people that I go to like the board game nights with, where we'll dig into like a serious heavy Euro game for like 4 hours. And for my family, like, they're not going to do that. They'll be like, you've got 1-2 hours tops, and they definitely prefer the simpler stuff, the lighter stuff, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, we play lighter games too on game nights, but it's just like they're specifically on that side of those kinds of games. So the game that came in was called Everdell. You knew I was going to talk about a board game on this show.
Yeah,
somehow.
I'm surprised that hadn't happened.
I would expect no less. I'd be disappointed if we didn't.
The best way to start talking about Everdell with people that are on the video game side is it is Animal Crossing, the board game.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Like I made a vow to the listeners that we are not talking about Animal Crossing on this podcast because I have had it.
Well, I don't like. Okay, nobody string me up for this. I do not like Animal Crossing. It's not my thing. I just went over the types of games I liked. That ain't it. You know what I mean?
And it's not that I think that Animal Crossing is a bad game. It's just like like right now, every video game podcast is spending like 20 minutes on Animal Crossing every episode.
It's the opening of every show.
And I'm not, and this is actually like gosh, I'm not saying Animal Crossing isn't a game, right? But this is more of you have objectives, you have things that you have a score, you're trying to get a higher score than your opponents. Like, there's a competition there. That's not, so that's like my only comparison to Animal Crossing is just one of like the core mechanics, which is building a village of animals. By, you have a certain amount of animals that goes up as the game goes on that you can put out on the board, right? So there's seasons, spring. We don't play winter, but there's spring, summer, and fall. And as those go on, your population gets bigger because animals are making more animals, I guess. And what you'll do though is you can straight up bait an animal to come live in your village by giving it food, and you can send the animals that you already control out. Like, you have little pieces that you put out on the board to go gather various things like wood and pebbles and berries and things like that. And you can bait animals to come into your village and live there with berries. Or what you can do is, if you want the judge, who is this stately-looking turtle with a top hat and a beard, it's amazing, to come live in your village, you build a courthouse. And then he'll come in there, and you don't have to bait him in. He'll just, you have a courthouse? I'll come live in your village. And all of this kind of plays into, I'm simplifying things to a pretty good extent. All of this kind of builds into you having combinations and values of things in your village, which has a limited amount of space to work in, that is higher than your opponent's. So sometimes you'll tear down buildings, you'll build different ones, you'll get different animals in that have better combinations. And there's different objectives scattered around that you can also use to kind of, like, you can build monuments, and you can, what's another thing you can do? There's side objectives that are up in a tree. There's this big cardboard tree at the end of the thing. It's like this dominant thing that kind of like sticks out of the board. And there's little things that you put up. That's where you keep your extra workers. It's a worker placement game, if I haven't mentioned that already, that you get as things, as you go through the ages. That's where they're stored. So you know when you're in the next season, you grab those, and now you have more workers to place out. But there's also objectives up there that if you have certain very specific combinations that are hard to get, you get a bigger bonus. That's something that's like a card that you put up there. It is a neat game. It's weirdly simple and complex at the same time, in that it is real easy to wrap your head around the mechanics of it. But the strategy behind comboing the things that you're putting in your village can be kind of brain burning, right? A lot of thought, a lot of, do I want this person coming in, or am I better off waiting? You don't necessarily know what's going to come out either. So there's a risk reward type thing where I can build this building and that animal may never come out for the entire game. But if they do, I get them in there for free. And that's great, right? Because that combo will take off and I'll get, some points for it or whatever. That's the simplified version of explaining the game. I got to play it once with my wife because, like I said, it is longer, and they prefer the shorter stuff, and I don't necessarily get to do that too often. I'll probably get to play it again at some point, but she has to really be like, okay, I can sit down and play a long game now. Other than that, it's we'll sit down for 20 minutes and chuck dice, and then we're done, and that's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And there's some great little dice chucking games too. I'm only going over one game though, and this is the one that came in. It's very cool. The art is phenomenal on it. If you ever want, I think you can go to the Kickstarter and look at it. But like the thing that won me over is there's this one art piece from the latest Kickstarter where it's like a little mouse with like the flight goggles and the leather cap on the back of an eagle with his hands in the air like he's having the time of his life. And I'm like, this is freaking awesome, and I want this. So,
What's
and it's
the name
all
of it
like
again
that
for people in case they missed
Yep.
it.
It's called Everdell.
Everdell.
Yes.
Yep. So that sounded interesting. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right, Justin. Is this the part of the show where we talk about your masochism?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
I have one thing I have to talk about before I do that. And I'm very sorry. But actually, this thing will sound like it's that part of the show. So I played a game called, and bear with me on this one, it is called Troubleshooter.
Oh!
Abandoned Children.
That game is amazing!
Yeah, it's really
Dude!
good. It's really good. So for those out there who don't know what this is, it's kind of an XCOM like strategy RPG, but it looks like XCOM, but it plays like Final Fantasy Tactics, actually.
Mhm.
It's really good. Like, I was shocked by it. So it's made by a Korean developer, and I have their name here, Dandelion. They're the smallest of small teams. They have 6 people on their team. Like, they are pretty open that only 6 people made this game. And considering that only 6 people made this, I am amazed by the amount of stuff that is in there. Like, it is layers on layers of complexity and interesting things going on. Like, the way you can set up characters and stuff like that, like, is so cool. Like, my main guy, like, he's just a regular anime sword boy, but, like, I have him set up to where, like, I'll just march him into the middle of something and just let everybody come and attack him because he'll just hit whoever comes close to him. And then, like, if they try to hit him, his dodge is super high, so he misses them, and then he slashes back. The game is awesome. Like, you can build just really cool builds of things, and, like, I put 60 hours into it. Like,
There we go. It's been a bit since that happened.
yeah, like, so I like it a lot. Now, I'm not saying it's like a perfect game. It's not. There are definite flaws here, like, especially like the longer you go. I have nothing but praise for like certain design elements that they did. Like, okay, this is one thing that I loved about Final Fantasy Tactics back in the day, when that first mission in Final Fantasy Tactics where you play as like Agrius and like you get to see all the cool sword techniques and stuff like that. You don't have that character yet, but you get that preview of like things to come. Like, I love that. Like, I love just like being able to see what, like, oh, this is what the late game's gonna be like. Probably, I might get this character, like, but it's so awesome to like see that stuff unfold. And this game does that exact thing. Like, there's a mission like right at the beginning where it's like, here, guys, you're gonna get later on. Check them out. And I was like, oh yeah, this guy's cool. I really praise that about it. The only problem is, and I know why this happens, the game is a little slow paced, to the point where like I'm 60 hours in, right? Like I put a lot of time into it because I enjoy the game. I don't even have everybody that I can have in my party yet. Like, that's how slow it is. It takes a while to build. I enjoy it. Like it's kind of one of those games I go back to and play like 3-4 hours of, and then like kind of like dip out, take a break, and then go back in depending on how I feel. I enjoy the style of it. It's like I said before, it looks a lot like XCOM at first glance, but it's more like Persona looking, like style wise. The translation up front is rough.
Uh-huh.
It's real rough. I'm not gonna.
I mean, with a 6-person team, you're probably literally doing Google Translate for that stuff.
They all of their updates that they give, and they're still updating this game. They're constantly fixing things. There's like online multiplayer and all this other stuff. It has kind of almost like a Diablo based loot system associated with it. So there's like, levels of gear and stuff that you can get. And like you can break those down if they're junk, and then you can get other stuff and make more items. There's beast training. There's so much stuff in here. There's a complete part of the game where like you go to a separate like little map, and like it's like isometric, and you just walk around town and shop. And I'm like,
okay, now that's cool, because that's one thing that I always hate about strategy RPGs is when you can't like actually like explore the areas. They're just like menus.
Yeah, well, now you can't, now like on the regular maps, like you can't do that. But like but this part, like you can definitely go and like you walk around a town and get missions from people, and they'll send you to like a different map or whatever, and you go get stuff from that map and you do this mission. And like just the fact that that's there, I was like, I'm very impressed that this is even here, because you probably didn't need it. Now, like I said, the translation is rough. It's not the worst thing ever. If you've ever like read an anime with bad subtitles where you're like, I know what you meant there, but that's not how we talk. But like, I know what you meant. I know what you meant.
Or they'll use like a figure of speech that meant something there, but it doesn't land at all.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a lot of awkward phrasing and stuff like that. But it's passive.
This guy are
like
sick. Like,
it's not quite that bad.
Oh, that's okay. Cool. Like, that's more what I was expecting.
It's really not. Yeah, no, it's really not. Like I expected it to be way worse, because I read reviews like before I bought it, because I was like, for whatever reason it popped up because I played XCOM Chimera Squad. It was like, maybe you'll be interested in this game. I was like, oh, well, look at this, whatever the hell it is. Actually, I looked it up because I thought it would be a bad game that I could play because of the name, and I looked it up. I was like, this actually looks pretty good. And then I read a bunch of stuff about the translation, and as I played, I was like, this isn't that bad. In fact, there's like so I was talking about Chimera Squad and how it's like they really fail to tell a cohesive story or anything that's really interesting. Like there's bits and pieces here, but this one actually has like a narrative. I'm like, yeah, this is how you tell a story with a strategy RPG. It's not that hard. Like it's really not. Like if these guys can do it and there's this small of a team, you can tell a fucking story. And like, I'm not saying every character in the games, a lot of them are just, your basic anime trope. Don't get me wrong. But there's like a guy named Heijing, and he looks like just the tropiest anime character ever. He's got a little like black streak in his hair and stuff like that. But
he wears like a jacket with no shirt underneath it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He is that guy. Exactly.
Yeah. A big chain or something, I think.
Exactly. He has like a fur coat. Oh my God. He's ridiculous.
That's right. It's a fur coat.
Yeah.
And no shirt.
No shirt. Exactly.
It's so Korean. It's great.
But like, his story is actually super interesting. They show you like stuff from the villain's point of view, and like they let me play as who I think is the main bad of the game. And like, I really like the one character. Her name's Ray. I think her design is actually cool as shit. She's a graffiti artist, and all of her attacks are like, I kick cans of spray paint at dudes, and then I can heal with cans of spray paint that have healing stuff in them. Also, I can kick clouds of healing stuff that when you run through them, they'll like give you regen. Or like I can like freeze all the enemies that walk through. There's a lot of cool stuff in this game.
Really creative.
Really neat. Yeah, and I love that. As soon as I figured out what her attacks were and what they were doing, I was like, that's so different and so cool. And she has like a whole backstory, and they go into like this whole thing of like how they were kids in this alley, and like they formed their own thing, and it was cool. Like I was like, you know what? As tropey as a lot of this is, that part's really cool. I really like this story. Like this is what I'm into. And it's not a perfect game by any stretch. Like I can tell the length of it is because it was an early access game and they slowly added as they went. So slowly, like they had, a pretty probably good sized game there. And then they were just like, well, now we need to add this part of the story, so here's this character, and then we need to add this part of the story, so here's this character, and they slowly went as they got those things finished. So, it's a little rough in that way. I also think one little flaw of it is I sometimes think the maps are a little too big on it. It's really easy to get kind of lose track of where you were or where you were going every now and then. Not every map is that way, but some of them I'm just like, I can't remember where the hell I was even going. And I get real turned around, but after a while, go ahead.
There's one map, and I think it's there's that type of grinding you can do where it's like a push your luck thing.
Yes.
And it's with a bunch of frogs.
Yes.
Is that that map is unbelievably huge.
Yes. It's to the point where you're just like, this mission probably could have been cut down a little bit. There's one that I was doing for a little bit in the grindy parts where it was basically that same thing where you could kill a boss, and that it was in I can't remember, it was some alley or something, and you could just you had to walk around, find the bosses. Every time you'd kill a boss, it'd be like, hey, do you want to leave now? You can leave now. And
it's a really cool mechanic, by the way.
Exactly.
But you push harder and you get better stuff, and you can leave and be safe. But if you keep going and you lose everything.
Exactly. Disgaea-ish there, because that's the item worlds in Disgaea. It's you can try to get to level 100 of this item world, but it's going to get real hard.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. So it's a really cool game. I think it's awesome. I think if you're itching for a strategy RPG and you kind of are nervous about an XCOM game, because it's definitely not XCOM. It's not near as punishing. There's no permadeath, nothing like that. It's real cool. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, and there's cover and stuff, but it reminds me more of Final Fantasy Tactics cover, where I'm out of sight of this guy. He can't hit me with his arrow. So this guy as a sniper, it's the same. You just replace archer with sniper and you're good. And I really dig it. And I'll keep playing it. I'm still, like I said, I'm 60 hours in, and I keep planning on going in some more. So, troubleshooting.
This game.
Trouble.
It has so it's not, I'm going to just step back for a second and say this is not my kind of game, but there's a streamer that I like to watch because, frankly, I'm out of a lot of entertainment options right now, so I've been kind of doing the Twitch thing a lot more. Yeah. Who loves this game. And his whole thing is strategy RPGs, and this is his favorite one. And just the sheer amount of stuff. You want to raise pets? Yep. You can raise pets. You want to make yourself a robot and grow it up, put it on the battlefield? You can do that. Yep. It just keeps going.
It does. It's
you guys want to sit down and have a snack at the bar? That's fine. You pick the right combination of food, you'll get a certain perk for the next battle. Are you serious? It's wild. Just this, the sheer amount of different things. What's that?
Is there fishing?
I don't know.
No.
Seems like the only thing that's missing.
Thank God there isn't. I think that would have instantly dragged it down on my scale a lot. Not a big fishing game, or actually, it's just been a thing I ignored. Honestly,
I'm glad you and I are on the same page there. I when I heard Yoko Taro say that every RPG needs to have a fishing mini game, I was like, okay, no.
Well,
as a mini game, it's fine. As a key mechanic. No, not really. I don't like fishing.
One good fishing game, and that is Real Fishing. I can't remember the RPG one, the JRPG one. Matt Norgensen knows what I'm talking about. It's a great game. It's on Steam. That game is hilarious. Road Trip Adventure, something like that. But anyway, yeah.
When you were talking about strategy RPGs earlier, I this was another one I was going to mention, but then we just moved on from it, so I just kind of left it.
Oh, no, I'm glad. I would have been like, well, now we got to talk about that, because that's the other game I played.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a really good game. If you're out there looking for a strategy RPG, but think XCOM or even Gears Tactics or something like that that's too punishing for you, highly recommend this one. It's really cool. Definitely worth your time. And it's cheap, too. It's only $25, so not bad.
And if you can do whatever you want to do, but not all of this is required. It's really as deep as you want it to be.
Exactly.
So big recommend.
Yeah, it's real cool.
Yeah, I did a quick Google search of it while you guys were talking, and it's cool because it seems like even though it's a very very small game, it's got groundswell, and that's nice to see. I didn't have any trouble finding stuff, and it seemed like a lot of people were sharing stuff and talking about it. So that's good. You know,
Yeah.
Like you like to see that with small teams like that, like they're actually like being like finding success with it and not getting buried under, you know, all of that giant pile of Steam shit that normally, you know, keeps good games from getting surfaced.
Yeah, this is definitely one that could have got lost, especially like with a name that like it has and like the title art. Like when you look at it on Steam, like just from like the store page looking at other games, it looks like just a generic, almost like a visual novel. Like it just has that feel like, oh, that's just a real dumb game. That's why I clicked on it. Cause honestly, I thought it would be something like that. And then I went, oh, this is actually really cool. I'm glad I found this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah,
for some reason, Facebook has been surfacing like a bunch of like game Kickstarters to me as like the targeted ads.
Yeah.
And I saw one last night. It was like, at first, like something about it, I was like, oh, let me click on this. And it was like some strategy RPG. And like, I was like watching the trailer and I was like, oh no. Oh, why do you want money for this? Like, it looked like a first year PlayStation 2 game. And I was like, no, what? Like, no, why are you doing this?
Yeah. Kickstarter games, they're advertising Kickstarter games now. Is that a thing?
Well, I mean, it's probably because, you know, it's like if you click on one thing, then you start to see like tons more of that stuff. And I think I had clicked on because someone had shared the Kickstarter for that Messenger prequel. That's the JRPG or like, you know, the turn-based RPG.
Oh yeah, that
looks really cool.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I forgot to do that one because I did want to get the physical version, like the limited edition one from the Kickstarter. And I didn't get around to it. But I think because I clicked on that, now I'm seeing a bunch of those. But I'm probably done with the whole Kickstarter thing because like, yeah, I got my blood stained and that was cool. But like, you know, I never mentioned this, but I had done an Indiegogo for the Chikara game.
Yeah.
The wrestling game. And like, I got it and it's like, I couldn't even really get it to like, I couldn't figure out how to play it on like the PC because like I didn't have a controller set up to it and whatever. And I was just like, man, like, yeah, that's just, I don't know why I bothered. And apparently it's coming to console anyway, so like I should have just waited.
I've taken a look at that Chikara game and I like Chikara. I think they're a really fun wrestling company, but that game didn't look all that great.
I couldn't even really tell you because like I didn't really get to mess around with it all that much, but just looking at it, I was like, nothing's doing much for me here. But the main reason that I got it is because our hometown hero Steve Orino from Inspire Pro is he's actually auditioned for Chikara before.
Oh, nice.
Like that's like his dream promotion, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna like buy this game and I'm gonna make Steve Orino and put him in Chikara where he belongs.
Oh man. Apparently there's this new, and this, I don't think it's a Kickstarter game. There's like some weirdly ambitious wrestling game project out there that like,
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, they're signing a bunch of indie wrestlers and stuff like that. They have a good idea, but like, I'm like, this seems so pie in the sky that like I have to see something from it because somebody I know from like the circles of wrestling games that I roll in, they were like, yeah, you should check this out. And all it was a guy talking about the game, and I was like, yeah, they got their sights a little too high. I don't think that's. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. You apparently it's reached your ears as well, Julian.
Well, I happened to watch this YouTube video where it was like the 9 wrestling games in development right now, and I was like 9, and so I had to watch it, and that was one of them. And like it seems like they only have like a couple character models like renders like done.
I didn't even see any of that. All I seen was they were sending
super realistic, but I've never heard of you before. Like I
never heard of the studio. Never seen anything from them. It's weird to me that they don't have like a it doesn't seem like they have a publisher for this game or anything like that. They're already spending money on getting people contracted into the game. I don't know. Like that seems like one of the later steps you do. I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything about game development. I'm just saying like that seems like, I don't know. Maybe people would just want to sign the contract to be in the game because I don't know. Anyway, but we're on the same page. We know exactly. I know exactly. All right. Well, is it that time of the show, Julian? Or
Think
does
so.
anybody have anything else they would like to talk about? Okay. Here we go. Guys, last episode, I talked about probably dipping back into the Senran Kagura universe because I thought it was time to do that. So I did. I found a game called Senran Kagura Reflections. That is Reflex, as spelled with the X, and then eons, Reflections. That's how I guess you would say that phonetically. Anyway, let's talk about it. It's a game. So Senran Kagura, for those of you that don't know, is like kind of a beat 'em up where you play as schoolgirls and you hit other evil shinobi ninjas and you knock their clothes off, and then they are naked.
Oh man, the first screenshot I saw of this does not fill me with joy.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's oh, Julian, let's go into it. So, I would like to read a little bit of the intro here if I could. It says, "Through your hands, you'll feel as she's inviting you into the deepest recesses of her heart. This girl who stands in front of you is projecting a piece of her heart. She needs you to soothe her." And that soothe is in quotation marks, so that could mean anything. So you play as a massage master, I believe? I'm not really sure. You are the master of massage. You're very good at it. Don't question it.
I am really good at massage, but anyway. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. That's good. That's a good thing to have. I'm not bad at it myself. I've dabbled before. I've been told I'm very good.
Wait, before you go on, Justin, I thought these were like beat 'em ups or like this. I'm looking through screenshots and I'm not seeing. It's just like dating sim and like the weird like petting stuff from like the Nintendogs, but with people.
No. Okay, Julian, I don't know if you knew this about Senran Kagura, but yes, it is a beat 'em up. However, there is an entire like mode where you go and you dress up the characters, and you can use those outfits in the game, stuff like that, and you get weird, creepy Mickey Mouse hands, and then you can touch them. So they made an entire game around that.
Okay, that explains why I'm not seeing any like gameplay.
Yes. You are the master of massage. There's gameplay. You massage the girls. What is so hard to understand about that, Julie? I don't understand. I don't understand the hang up here. So you touch Asuka, because that's the only character I bought. It was like $10 and I wasn't paying it. There's a ton of DLC for it.
Wait, hold on.
Jeez.
It's by character, it's not just a game?
Yeah, it's by character. You have to pay $10 for each other character for each DLC. I'm not making that up. That's a real thing. They milk the shit out of you. If you want like the full package, I bet it's like $100-something or something like that. I have no idea. I was like, I'm paying $10 and that's all I need to do. That's fine. So anyway, like I said, you're the master of massage. Asuka, she's like one of the main characters of Senran Kagura. Don't ask me how I know that. I may have sat down and played that at one point. You touch her hands, and you pick different spots on her hands, and you give her a hand massage. It's very nice. She's very happy about it.
I mean, if it's good enough for Cloud, it's good enough for Asuka.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But you go that. But see, this time you send Asuka into a dream sequence where she turns into other people. Those people include, and I have them listed here. You can turn into let's see. She dresses as a schoolgirl, which she's already dressed as. It's really weird. I don't know why that's a dream, but apparently it is. Oh, she's in the rain.
Different school.
No, she's in the rain. That's the difference. So you see what they're doing there. So she dresses as a librarian, like a tutor type character. There's an athlete. She's like a fantasy RPG girl. She's a Japanese idol. She's gift wrapped. Like she wears a ribbon and that's it. That's a thing that happened. And I saw it with my eyes. And she's also, your sister in one of them. I'm not sure about that one. She kept calling me Big Brother, and it was very uncomfortable. The entire thing.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was really creepy.
Dude, Japan loves their stepbrother and stepsister stuff.
Oh, everyone loves it now. That's the only thing in porn, and I don't get it. I don't understand why this is a thing. I listen. You all know what I'm talking about. Don't sit here and listen to this podcast like you don't. I don't understand what this fetish is. Every time I'm just like, why is this a thing? Okay, I'm off that topic. Anyway.
Got real heated there for a second.
I don't understand it, Julian.
Like, I'm on page 55 and I still haven't found anything.
I don't understand these kids today. Back in my day when porn was a thing, I don't know, there was a pizza guy and that was it, god damn it. But anyway, so you massage them, you touch them in different spots, and you get different emotions. And like, if you end on like the green emotion, like that makes her happy. I never really figured out what the green emotions are. I know the blue emotion means she's really mad at you, because that happens when you touch things you're not supposed to touch. But you have to do all of them because that unlocks the pieces of her heart. And once you unlock all the pieces of her heart, you get the true ending. And that's what I did that because I'm dedicated.
Wait. Is that where the letters of her name are rearranged and you put an X in the middle?
No, it just shows you like a Kingdom Hearts like mosaic thing, and then like it shows a picture. It's her in an amusement park. Spoiler alert. She's like, hey, let's go to the amusement park. I'm very happy now. She told me she loved me after the end of every scenario that I did, because you have to replay it like 5 different times. I wish I was making that up. Luckily, you get to skip certain parts, because like you go into the dream sequences and you touch the areas and you massage them or whatever. And then like it gives you this thing where it's like, okay, now it's time for the main event special massage part. So there's different things that you unlock as you go. There's a roller that you roll up the back of her thigh. Yeah, that's a thing. There's part where you just like punch her in the inner thigh. I never really figured out that one. Like, I know how to do it. I just wasn't sure what was happening. You're just like hitting her in the thigh, like sissy fighting her thigh. It's weird.
When do you unlock the Hitachi?
Funny you asked that. You actually do.
Almost every time I've recorded this show, I've had a drink with me. This is the one time I didn't bring one, and God, I wish I did right now.
Oh, I'm happy I could create this moment for you, Angelo. So yeah, you punch her in the inner thigh. What's the other one? You brush her arm? Like, she just extends her arm and you brush her arm with a brush with hair. I don't know what that one's about. It didn't seem even, I don't know if this game is going for erotic. I'm sure it's going for erotic. I'm not stupid. But it's so, that one's weird. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what the use of that was, but, you can do it. And also, yes, you unlock a Hitachi and you put it, on right below her chest and right above her stomach. Like right in the center of her torso. Because that's what you do with those.
That's fine, but there's other places that are going to do the trick a little better.
No, I don't know what you're talking about, Julian. Okay. I'm in 7th grade. I didn't know if you knew that. No. Yeah, no, man. It's terrible.
You don't say.
Yeah, it's bad. I played through it like all this time. Eventually, like, it gives you the option to skip the last little bit. You're just like, okay, let's just skip to the ending here. It's a terrible game. I'm guessing.
And let me just be clear, like, I will play like a beat 'em up with some anime titties. Like that sounds all right to me. Like I thought that's what you would play. I was like, oh, this might actually not be that bad. But no, this much worse.
This doesn't sound fun at all.
The other games are like, they're not good. Don't get me wrong. They're bad games, but there's like button mashing stuff that you can do. It's entertaining. There's fun to be had. The characters do different moves and stuff. They're not terrible. They're not the worst thing you'll ever play. This game,
I reviewed one for Pixelbit like way back when. I don't know which one it was.
You had,
yeah. It was a very mediocre fighting game. Yep. It was fine, but
That's pretty much it. So this is fan service to the people that really are into these games, which I'm guessing they all live in Japan. I've never met a single fan of Senran Kagura.
Dude, I will almost guarantee you that most of the fans are outside of Japan.
You might be right. I don't know. You could be
Do you remember the stink that was made when the last Senran Kagura was censored here on the PlayStation 4?
Oh yeah,
it was a big old stink.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Well, that was more because like, hey, don't censor me, man, and I get it. Because they hated when Steam does that too, because Steam tried to do that for a little bit, and then eventually they were like, you know what? Fuck it, porn's everywhere. Screw it. We get it, all right? And that's why Reflections is on here. Although, there's no nudity that I found.
Yeah, it's on the Switch, which I was surprised at.
Yeah, this game is on the Switch, too. So, you can Hitachi girls in their stomachs on the Switch. I'm guessing the vibration's really good on that.
Got to stimulate that intestine.
Yeah, do what you want. Live your life. Live your best life. Far be it me to tell you how to live it. But, yeah, that's a game. That's a game I played. I don't think I want to go to the Senran Kagura universe because I feel like I need a shower after playing that. I feel like I need many showers, especially the Big Brother thing. That was awkward. Okay. So that's my time. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
What a weird world we live in.
I'm sure the listeners appreciate you suffering for their entertainment, Justin.
Well,
I maintain that you don't have to do this.
To be fair, I laughed so hard so much of the time until like at like the last little bit where I was like, okay, I get it. But still, like, these types of things crack me up. That's why I like playing H Rescue. They're so bad, they're funny. Love a good bad porn game. They're just entertaining.
Yeah. Well, listeners, hopefully you found this episode entertaining. Sure enough, we're around the 3-hour mark, so
indeed,
yeah, we failed miserably, but I knew we would.
But
yeah, this was a lot of fun. I like it when we can just like shoot the shit like this. It was actually much needed. I'm realizing now that we're at the end. I really needed this. Appreciate it.
Me too, actually.
Angelo, thank you for being on. It's been way too long, and we need to have you on more often. Now that we record on Fridays, it should be a little bit easier to get you on because you don't have to be anywhere the next day.
Yeah, and I also am working from home now, so my sleep schedule is a little bit adjusted because I don't have to get up as early.
True.
So
Yeah. It has been nice on the day, like the nights before I have to work from home. It's like, yeah, I'm going to stay up till 2 because like I can sleep right up until 8.
I've been living that life for a while, so yeah.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. Now, before we do, just as a reminder, next episode for the Stage Select, listeners, I want you to come up with a really awesome spin-off to an ongoing series, and I want you to tell me what that spin-off would be and what type of game it would be. Get creative. And then in the Steel Cage for Video Game Cage Match, we have Journey to Silius taking on Crystallis. I always said Crystallis.
I do too.
But we're going to want those submissions by 8:30 Central Time on May 29th. You can go to pixelbit.com and comment in the show thread for episode 176. You can also go to Twitter at NWPcast and DM us there. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdswithoutpants podcast and send us a message there. And in the meantime, you can also find each of us on the Twitter. Angelo.
I am at a roguish ham.
Justin.
I am at Tyrone_Swift, or you can follow my other podcast at Clickbait Update.
Yes, sir. Do you have anything in the hopper yet? Or
we got no idea. Maybe we'll watch Passions. We don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen episode to episode. But tune in. It'll be a show, I assure you.
Oh, by the way, the soap opera with Luke and Laura where they stopped the guy with the ice thing, that was General Hospital.
Oh, yeah, okay. I got it. Thank you. I'm glad you cleared that up. I know General Hospital. That show is hilarious to me.
I got real sick my freshman year in high school, and I actually missed the second semester of my freshman year. And I got real into General Hospital for those 6 months, let me tell you. Like I would watch that every day without fail.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
And it was right when Luke and Laura had come back. They were like really big, I think, in like the 70s or the 80s. They were like the couple. And then they came back in the late 90s. And yeah, so I got to see all that. Anyway, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. Once again, the show is at NWPcast. Our theme song, Relax, and interstitial tracks, To the Max and Moody Grooves, come to us from Megan McDuffie. You can find her on social media everywhere. Just search for Megan McDuffie. She's pretty awesome. And again, you can also find the full version of our theme song, Relax, on her Bandcamp. You can either buy it, get it for free, or you can, donate what you want for it. And consider rating and reviewing us wherever you rate and review us. It would help a lot. Tell your friends. And, I guess that's
I like
gonna...
how you phrased that. You said, consider rating and reviewing us wherever you rate and review us. So they already rated and reviewed us.
Yes, but do it again.
Yeah, do it again. Just keep
please.
doing it. Just
Do it harder this time.
Make more accounts and then keep reviewing them. Just continue to
there you go.
Spoof email addresses. Make your friends listen to us, force them with violence.
Actually, I mean, except for the violence part, I like if you want to do some spoof accounts and that would actually help quite a bit.
Please give us all the Russian bots that tweet our podcast out.
If you don't review us on like Apple Podcasts, you can just like send me a screenshot of it, and I will read that on the air. And that's gonna do it for this episode of Nerds Without Pants. So for myself, Justin, and a special thanks to Angelo, keep it pantsless internet. Or thanks for listening, and keep it pantsless internet. And wash your goddamn hands.